1, 2, welcome guys, welcome to another edition of Hot Topics Radio TV Podcast After Dark. I am your host, DTeflon on the MIC. Tonight, joining us, a very special guest will be in the building. She's an international, world-renowned fitness model, icon, legend in the fitness game. She's a personal trainer. She is Ursula Alberto, who will be joining us. Don't forget, you can join us each and every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on Hot Topics Celeb TV. Also, you can join us each and every Sunday night for Hollywood in Conversation with some of your favorite actors from film, television, and we'll be in conversation for in-depth conversation about the industry. Don't forget, also, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, don't forget, if you missed this podcast tonight, you can watch the replay this upcoming Saturday at 8 p.m. Don't forget, you can subscribe by hitting the link in the bio, which is hottopicscelebtv.com. Go there and log in. Don't forget, as I said, you can join us here each and every Tuesday. Tonight, I am your host, as I said, DTeflon on the MIC. Tonight, I am welcoming into the Hot Topics chair the beautiful, the sexy, the legendary, the amazing, the talented Ursula Alberto, baby. Check. Check. 1, 2, guys. Welcome. Tonight, joining us inside the Hot Topics chair, I'm your host, DTeflon on the MIC. This is another edition of Hot Topics Radio TV After Dark Podcast. Tonight, we have a very special guest all the way from California. Joining us, she is a fitness icon, ladies and gentlemen. She is the woman that doesn't age. She is the woman, bottom line, that has probably one of the best physiques and bodies on the planet. She is a mother of 3. She is an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. She's a very interesting lady that I'm looking forward for you guys getting to know tonight in an in-depth conversation tonight on Hot Topics. If you missed this podcast and you are on the East Coast and it's a little bit too late for you, don't forget, you can watch it on the replay this Saturday night, 8 p.m. Go to hottopicscelebtv.com. Also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and iHeartRadio. Tonight, I welcome to the building the sexy, the beautiful, the talented, the ever so amazing Miss Ursula Alberto. Welcome, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, her. I'm very, very, very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. So how have you been holding up through this, before we get into it? I want to know how you've been holding up through this crazy time that we're living in of the pandemic of 2020 to 2021.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's indescribable. You can't even put words into what this has been going on. But I will say this, that a lot of us are waking up. I mean, I don't look at what happened as a bad thing. I look at it as a time for us to look at what's going on, like go within, because we live in a society of too much and excess, and we needed to slow the fuck down. We really did. Everything was going too fast. We need to really come together as a community. People, we need to be kinder to each other. And I think this really changed a lot of people. Everybody I know internally went through something.
No, I agree.
And it needed to happen. I'm sorry, it just did. It's horrible, some of the things that had happened to people, but I think in order for change to happen, something like this had to happen. And I think I look at it as a positive thing. It allowed a lot of people to be home with their kids that were working too much. It allowed people to stop for a moment and look at their lives in the direction it was going in. Look at themselves and what they can change about themselves to be better human beings.
Well, I agree. I mean, I think, I've said that statement many times over the last year to people that 2020 is exactly what it stands for. I wear glasses to see because I don't have 2020 vision, but when you have 2020 vision, it allows you to see things clearly. It allows you to see what's in front of you. It allows you to see things without having a filter. And I think, you know, where retrospect in what you said, in the fact that it needed to happen, I think, yes, it needed to happen for many people because exactly, you know, going forward, we were in this fast pace. We were in this sort of thing of like, okay, you know what, like whether you were partying on the weekends or whether you were going out and drinking with your friends or going out with fake friends. And now where people are forced to literally be in four walls and have to take a real reflection of themselves in the mirror. And I think this is where I think people don't never really want to face, because they're always, as you said, going and moving at a fast pace. But now it gives them that moment to sort of say, okay, I'm at this certain point in my life. Am I on the path that I'm supposed to be going on? And now they've got to look and take a real reality check. And a lot of people, when it comes down to that, they don't like what they see. They don't like the person that they see. That's
so true. That is very true. I know I definitely changed a lot internally. I mean, you know, I think a lot of people, I've voiced it very clearly on my Instagram, my journey, you know.
So we're gonna get into your journey. So first we're gonna start at the beginning of your journey. So for the people who are just tuning in for the very first time, who don't know you, don't know your story, first I want you to tell them who you are, where you're from, and then we'll continue from there.
I'm a mother of three. I've been in the fitness industry my entire life. I've been very fortunate to have fitness and trained with some of the best people. I went through competition, married. I've been through many long-term relationships, and yeah, I'm now in real estate. I don't know. That's
okay. So for you, like you breaking into, you know, because for those who are new to the fitness game, who are just jumping on this live, who are fans of Ursula Alberto, who's been watching her lives and her training videos and stuff like that. For those that don't do their research, that don't know the homework, that don't know the legendary status of this woman, you should be all standing up and giving her a round of applause, because she came from the golden era. She came from the era of the Robert Kennedys, the era in the sense, number one, where it was actually the term fitness model meant something. It meant to be a recognized athlete, model, performer for what you did. And for all the girls, the younger girls of this generation, if it wasn't for females like Ursula paving the way, a lot of what you see now in the industry would not be what it is. So for you, when you, what for starters, what got you into the industry of fitness training, and, you know, how did that journey start for you?
So it started off, well, obviously I joined a gym like everybody else, and I ended up dating a pro bodybuilder, Milos Sarchek, on my Instagram. And he was a pro, and once we started dating, you know, I just started working out, so he said you should start competing, and I'm like, I don't think so, like I just started working out. He's like, no, you have what it takes. And I'm like, okay. I mean, he really honestly believed in me more than I believed in myself. You know, I was insecure. I just started working out. So he entered me in my first fitness show up by my mom's house, and he literally told all the magazines and everybody that I was going to be in the show, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So he trained me for it, and I did my first show and I won. And that was really the beginning of my fitness career. From that day forward, it was just, I literally was like a kid in a candy store. I would go to the gym, I'd ask him to drop me off, and I'd be there all day, just learning and absorbing. And he taught me how to train. He taught me how to eat. He taught me how to do competitions. From the ground up. And yeah, we just, you know, we got married 6 months after we met, and we just full force into the fitness industry. We were traveling all over the world, dieting all the time. We were doing magazines. I mean, it was just crazy. So the biggest show that most people know me from was uh, I can't even think now.
Galaxy?
Miss Galaxy. You're right. Yep, Miss Galaxy. So there were like, it was in Florida. It was 100 girls from all over the world. And back then it was different. It's not like fitness is now.
Yep.
So phone is dying. Can I go grab my charger?
Yeah, grab your charger.
1 sec.
Guys, don't forget, if you're just tuning in right now, you can follow me at DTeflon. Also, you can follow this channel and also Hot Topics Radio TV podcast. Don't forget, you can join us each and every Tuesday night. I am your host, DTeflon on the MIC. Tonight, joining us, fitness legend, icon, and model and personal trainer, Ursula Alberto. Also, don't forget, this upcoming Sunday, joining us from BET's Family Business, my brother from another, Sean Ringgold, will be in the building this Sunday, 6 p.m. Also, stay tuned, upcoming from the following week on Inside Hollywood, every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From the Power Series, Shane Johnson will be joining us, a.k.a. Cooper Sacks. If you missed this podcast tonight, guys, don't forget you can join us and visit us on the website at hottopicscelebtv.com this Saturday for the replay. She is back.
Okay, much better. So yeah, I went full force into fitness and without looking back. And it was, you know, if you know anything about Milos, he was one of the best pro bodybuilders out there. Aesthetically, he had the most amazing physique, I think, besides Flex Wheeler. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I never really got to think about it. I just started going into that world. And, you know, we didn't have the internet back then, so it was magazines. If you, you know, if you were a fitness competitor, you were a bodybuilder, you took photo shoots and you were on covers of magazines, inside magazines. They were big back then. There wasn't also like as many competitors as there is now. So I would be on stage. Well, Miss Galaxy, there was 100 girls, but that was considered huge because I'd get on stage with, you know, 5 or 6 people.
But it was the elite of the elite. That was the difference back then.
Yeah, I mean, it was just everybody knew it. Everybody knew everybody. You know, you go to Gold's Gym in Venice and everybody was there, you know, was doing photo shoots, and it was a very close niche group of people, and everybody knew everyone. And yeah, that's how it started. And you know, fitness has changed a lot since then. Now it's like cookie cutter, same body, same everything. We had to take gymnastics. When I first started, we had an evening gown round. So you had to wear an evening gown. So it was kind of like Miss America / fitness. And they had to ask us questions. You know, after dieting for 3 months, you know, they're asking us questions on anything that had to do with fitness. And, you know, we were like on low carbs. And I'm like, you're going to ask me a question when I can't even think? But yeah, it was different. And when I did the Galaxy, it was an obstacle course. So half of the competition was an obstacle course. Then it was a 1-piece bikini round, 2-piece bikini round, and an evening gown. So it was just different, you know. It was a lot different than it is now. Now it's just the same. It's cookie cutters. So many girls, I can't even tell who's who. All their bodies look identical.
Just a
different head.
I think the difference is from then to now, and I would like your opinion on it, is that like we're back then, you know, the era of the Amy Falbys, the Trish Stratus's, the Jennifer Chamberlains, the Monica Brandts, the Kiana Toms. You had athletes that were models. Like they legitimately put in the work to train, and each girl, to me back then, from the muscular development days to Muscle Mag, you know, they all had their signature, what they were known for. Like some were known for big ass titties, and others were known for their booty, and others were known for their glutes, and others were known. That's what launched American Curves. You know, every month that came out, it was a different feature, and it gave every girl in the industry an opportunity to be seen. You know, it wasn't, as you say, as saturated and as cookie cutter now. So for you, like, what do you feel even again, like for example, girls back then, as I said, they have to legitimately train hard to get into those physiques. But then you look at the industry now, where you've got girls that pretty much either A, don't work out and are entering these competitions and beating girls that actually put in the work. And on top of that, you've got store-bought bodies, like physically, like not going to the gym and going and get surgery. So like for you, like what do you feel the difference is from when you started in the game to now? Advantages and disadvantages.
Well, I I'm not really quote unquote still in the fitness industry in that way where I don't go to competitions. But I do follow some girls on Instagram that are competing now, and I do think that they do train hard. I wouldn't say that they train any less harder than we did. It's just different, everybody trains hard. You can't get in that kind of shape by not training hard. Now, yeah, we do have people that do surgeries and all this and whatever, but those are not competitors. You cannot do surgery and compete. I mean, you'll see that as soon as your body fat drops down to like 6%, 7%, you're going to see that somebody has a fake butt. I mean, breasts, we always had that because, that went on before fitness. So, but as far as the surgeries, I mean, I don't know. I mean, surgery wasn't really big back then, except for maybe we did our breasts because we lost so much fat in our breasts and we couldn't do anything about that. And nobody was getting their butt done, So, but I won't discredit the competitors now because I do think that they train hard. It's just that the bodies all look the same. And I'm like, how do they all look the same? It's crazy because we all had different physiques. There's a girl that's more, thinner and straight up and down. There's one that had hips, and you just don't see that anymore. I mean, I don't know how these bodies all look the same.
So for you, like being like at that time, basically being thrust into the public eye, being put on magazines, being recognized by people, and having a partner who as well was well recognized in the industry. How was that balance like for a relationship? Of like, was it a supportive aspect, or because obviously you see many times in this industry where you have, especially when it comes to certain, not all, but it's a common occurrence with certain male bodybuilders where there's a bit of narcissism, and you see a very high breakup rate with women who are in the industry dating bodybuilders where they sort of lose themselves in those relationships. How for you was that, like being both in the same public eye at the same time in the same industry and sort of being recognized at the same time? Did it ever cause conflict, or were you guys supportive of each other in growth?
Yeah, I mean, we were supportive. It was a lot easier for me to get on a cover than I would say Milos. It was just because there wasn't as many fitness competitors, and usually if you did a cover, it was always a girl with a guy. Unless it was like Flex, they'd have a guy by himself. So I got on covers pretty quick, but for a male bodybuilder, it was a little bit harder because there were so many more of them, and they were always looking for women to be on the covers with these guys. But we were very supportive. Milos was the most supportive guy I've ever dated, ever, with anything I did in my life. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am in fitness if it wasn't for him. When I was competing, he put all his energy into me, into my diet, into my training. I had to do an obstacle course, so he took me to SEALs Naval Base, and he spent all day training me. And I've never been with anyone who's ever put that much effort into me, and my success. Usually people are doing their own thing, and they don't care. But I will say this, we did not die at the same time. That doesn't work.
Definitely.
If one person's dying, you definitely don't want to be.
You got to be out of the house for a couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. But, and he did compete a lot. I think he did something crazy, like 50 shows in 1 year. It's unheard of. And so I didn't compete that much just because I wanted to be supportive of him. I won a big show. And after that, I just wanted to be there for him, because I was happy with just winning the Galaxy. I didn't feel like I needed to keep on going on and, you know, compete for the rest of my life. I felt like, wow, I won one of the biggest shows. Like, what more do I want after that? Besides going to the Olympia, which I was invited to go to the Olympia. The very first Olympia they ever had for women, it was invite only, because that's how they had to get it started. And so, yeah, I got invited to it, but I ended up breaking my left pinky, and I couldn't do any of the tumbling or anything, so I pulled out at the last minute.
So did you, I mean, when you got into it, was it more something that, you know, of a personal goal, or was it a passion? Like, did you already have, before you got into the industry, like, did you come from a athletic background before you started training?
I mean, you know where I started? I started with the food. So when I was in high school, I would read labels. And I didn't understand what some of the stuff was. You know, I'm Hispanic, so we grew up eating rice and beans always.
Okay.
And so my mom would buy things at the store, and I'd be like, well, what is all this on the back? You know, what does that mean? You know, she's like, oh, I don't know. Like, you know, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And nobody cared, you know. So I started off with reading labels. That's where it first started, where I was concerned with what I was putting in my body. Then I wanted to start running, and so I asked my dad to go jogging. We started going jogging together, and then I just got so fast that I was just like, he was like I left him in the dust. So that's where it really started, like physical fitness. And then I joined a gym, and then I remember when I first went to the gym, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna train my legs. I don't want to train my upper body. I don't want to get big, you know, the myth of getting big. And then I moved to San Diego. When I moved to San Diego, I joined a gym there, and that's when I saw Milos. And to be honest, I only went to the gym because I went there to see him.
So you're a stalker
like, oh
before
God, have you seen this guy that works out there?
You were a stalker before you gave him the go. Hold up a second, guys. If you
just go there and train next to him.
Hold that thought, guys. If you're just jumping into the room tonight, welcome to another edition of Hot Topics Celeb TV, Hot Topics Radio TV podcast After Dark. Joining us, fitness legend and icon and trainer Ursula Alberto is in the building. Don't forget, if you missed this podcast, you can find us at HotTopicsCelebTV.com. Watch the replay 8 p.m. this Saturday. You can follow me, myself, DTeflon on the MIC at DTeflon. Follow Ursula Alberto on her Instagram as well. Don't forget, you can check us out each and every Tuesday night here, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can also find us on iHeartRadio. Continue.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's the typical story. You see a guy in the gym and you're like, oh, my God, that guy's so cute. And so that's why I ended up going every day. And then we met, and 6 months later, we were married. That was that life, you know, that we lived. But I wouldn't say that it was hard for us, because we worked as a team, and we both had contracts with metrics, so it was easy for us to travel together because everything was paid for. We were at the same company. And yeah, I mean, it was difficult. I mean, it wasn't difficult. What was difficult was not the competitions, but being in a relationship and always dieting. That was difficult. And that put a lot of strain on us because we did travel a lot, and we didn't really get a lot of time. We didn't have a normal relationship. You know, we get to go out and sit at home and watch TV. We were always traveling, and he was always competing. So yeah, it made it hard for us.
So, I mean, you said he was, you know, so really supportive in the sense. So what do you feel was the reason of why that relationship didn't work out then? Because you don't normally hear someone say that the person was supportive and then they break up. Normally it's like the opposite. It's like they're not supportive, but then they stay even though they're not supportive, and then they break up. So for you, like, what led you down that path of what you think of why it didn't work?
Yeah, I've really talked about it. So, I mean, the reason we split up was really, honestly, there's a lot of drugs involved, and it changes you. And he competed a lot, and I don't want to like be, oh, it's all him. I just didn't understand the ups and downs of being on and off drugs, and it was hard for me to, you know, one minute you're in a good mood, one minute you're not in a good mood.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everything was so serious because competition was everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't so serious for me. I wanted to start a family.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just went in separate ways.
No,
And it's
I
just,
think,
yeah,
yeah.
it was just hard for me because that was his life. And
Mm-hmm.
he also had a family to support that lived in Yugoslavia. They were
Okay.
at war at that time, and he had obligations. But my my thought of where I was going in life was I wanted to start a family.
Mm-hmm. No, and I think that is, you know, whether you're in the fitness industry or the music industry or the film industry. I mean, I've gone through that situation that, you know, people seem to forget, like, in order to be at the highest level in whatever you're doing, there's a sacrifice. And the sacrifice sometimes 90% of the time is going to be
The
family
relationship.
and the
Yeah.
relationships that you have, not just with, you know, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, but just people in general. Because it's like, you know, when you've got this enormous pressure, because, you know, when you're in this game, you could be doing it for a long time, but in reality, it's really, it feels like a minute, because
Yeah.
it changes so quickly. So you know, when you know, okay, I've only got this amount of time and this amount of discipline, if I'm going to commit to this and I want to, you know, do it, I gotta put everything into it. And
Yeah.
it's hard, obviously, for anybody in that situation like yourself, when, for you, as I said, you did it when you obviously got into it and you enjoyed it and whatever. But as you said, you went to that gym specifically just to stock him out, maybe not even
Talking about. Yeah. I
look
did.
in retrospect, okay, let me get into be training or whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, you being a woman, where what I've known of you and knowing you this time is that you're a woman that truly, truly, in the sense, number one, when you're with somebody, you give your all to them. You put your, maybe even your dreams, maybe even your goals on hold to support them in the aspects of, like, okay, well, you know, I'm going along for this ride, but then obviously, you know, once you get on that ride and you realize, okay, I'm all the way up here like a roller coaster. Wait a minute, this is a little bit too fucking high for me. Like, I gotta get the fuck off this ride. And I think that's where, I think, in many people's situation, like, they have a hard time balancing, you know, between success and a relationship and goals and a relationship. So, like, for you, like, when you finally decided, okay, you know what, like, this is not my story. This is not, like,
Yeah.
what I signed up for.
I was just gonna say that.
You
That's not
know,
what I signed up for.
how do you, for you, like, how do you step away from that?
It's not easy. But when you have, I mean, I was very strong about having children.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, I always knew I was going to have kids from a very young age. So when we met, it was like a year after we were together, I was already talking about having kids,
Okay.
you know? So when he's in the middle of his career, and that's not what he's thinking, you know? He's thinking the next show, the next show, the next
Mm-hmm.
show. I got to win this one. I got to win this one. And I just started looking at the bigger picture, and I was like, I don't know how long I can do this. Like, honestly, traveling all the time to different countries,
Mm-hmm.
you know, living out of a suitcase, and we didn't like go to a different country and you know, look at sightsee. We were in
Mm-hmm.
the gym. We were preparing for our food, looking for food, trying to read labels that were in a different language, and
Mm-hmm.
try to prepare food in our room for the competitions. And
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't fun after a while. And of course, it wasn't going to last that way.
So you leave that situation, obviously, eventually, with
Yeah,
someone, again, that's in a public figure.
right.
Then you step back into the world on a different aspect with someone who's in a public figure, who is a well-known comedian for those that don't know. I don't know if you want to say his name, I'll let you say his name.
Go ahead.
But, you know, for the people in a sense who don't know, after you already going through that situation per se of someone where their career is the focal point, it's not about having kids, it's the focal point. How did you end up in the next relationship for you to who's now the father of your kids?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think when we meet people and we end up in relationships, we're not really thinking like ahead. We really are not. We're thinking, oh wow, I like this person. We start dating, and next thing you know, we're in a relationship. You know, I never think that far ahead. But yeah, so I met Sean Wayans from the Wayans brothers, and I actually met him at an aerobic competition that I went to with Amy Fadley. We were roommates at the time, and we went to look at what they were doing, because an aerobic competition is a little bit similar to fitness. We still had to do the routine. They were a little bit more advanced than us, so we would go and see what the new moves are. So we're in the audience, and Sean's friend was doing stand-up during intermission, and so he went there with his brother Marlon and a bunch of his friends to support their friend that was doing stand-up. So during intermission, one of his friends started talking to Amy, and as I'm just standing there waiting, out of nowhere came Sean, and we started talking, and he asked me for my number, and that's how it started. And I was actually getting ready for a competition at the time. I was competing. I was going to be doing the Night of the Champions in New York, and so we kind of saw each other, but not a lot, because I was fully into competition mode. And then I flew to Colorado, where my choreographer lived, and we were working on my choreography there. And then from there I flew to New York, and when I got to New York and I was on stage, I saw Sean come into the audience, and he surprised me, and he showed up at my show. And after that was the first time that I realized, wow, this guy really must like me, because he flew all the way here to see me compete. And I would say after that show was when we started seeing each other regularly.
And so, like, I mean, but did you, again, like, obviously, as I said, coming out of a situation prior, someone that is in the public eye, did you have any reservations of, like, am I going to be going through the same shit again? Like,
of course. I mean, I was more concerned with the amount of women that he would be around more than anything. But as I've gotten to know Sean, he's extremely private. You didn't find one thing about me and Sean dating until we split up after 3 kids. There was never anything in the magazines written about us. That's how private he is. So after getting to know him and seeing how private he was, I was like, oh, he's not like what I thought he was. And yeah, and so we ended up having 3 children, 3 amazing, beautiful children. And yeah, I mean, dating somebody in the public eye like that is very difficult. That is on a different level than in fitness. That's hard. Even though Sean to me is just like a regular person. I don't really look at him as famous. I really don't. And none of his family, but it's hard when you're out. It's hard when you're out and you're trying to go on a date and there's people coming up and trying to talk to you, or we're in the middle of dinner and somebody has to come up and say something and we can't get hardly any alone time. You know, that was difficult. And the women were there. They were around.
Well, I mean, I think that comes along with the territory. I mean, as
it does.
You know, being, you know, myself, I've dealt with those same issues per se. Number one, like, you know, that of dating somebody and having to deal, as I said, because again, there's going to be women, there's going to be interruptions of people who stop you on the street and recognize you. But for you, in the sense of, I mean, already having, you know, your own recognition and your own level of notoriety and being just a beautiful woman, you know, is there a flip side to that in the sense of like where, you know, because again, like I think it takes not just a strong woman when you're in those situations. I think it's a strong couple to sort of say, okay, you know what, like, this is what we do. This is a job. But when we leave the job, the focus should be on each other. And I think for you, like, did you ever feel like while being in that situation, and as you said, you know, the other women or even when you're around, did you ever feel that like the focus wasn't on you when the cameras were turned off?
Never. No. Sean definitely gave me full attention.
Okay.
2 years into our relationship, I got pregnant, and I had my first daughter. We had our first daughter. So right when I had my first child, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
That was something that we discussed, and he wanted me to raise the kids at home. And a couple of years later, I had my second, and then we had our third, and I was in a completely different space. I was in mommy mode, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I loved raising my children. Was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. And Sean really worked at the house most of the time. He's a writer. He writes all his own material.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time Sean traveled was when he went to Canada to do a movie. And that was a few months out of the year. And we would fly there to see him. I mean, we wouldn't be there the entire time because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my kids were little. But I never really felt that Sean didn't give me attention. If anything, I didn't give him enough attention because that was a very difficult thing for me to admit for a long time. Because
how so? Like how so?
well, like I was telling you, I always wanted children. I wanted children since I was a kid. You know, like I would tell my family that I was going to be a mom. Like I didn't even want a career. I wanted to be a mom.
Okay.
So when I had started having my children, I was so engulfed in them to the point where I didn't even realize I wasn't even paying attention to him. And I wanted to be hands-on with everything. So from the minute they woke up to the minute they went to bed, it was just me and my kids. And he would ask me to, you know, do something like, hey, can you make me breakfast? And I would be like, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm with the kids, you know? And that was a wrong approach because of course he's going to want to go outside if I'm not giving him any attention, you know? And I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just thought I was being a good mom. But I was neglecting him in so many ways.
Well, I mean, and I love that you're so open and candid and honest. But I always believe, for example, like as I said, you know, when you took that responsibility on to be the mother that stayed at home, and while he's out doing his thing, I think a lot of times for men in general, and even obviously men in my industry that Sean's in, is where they seem to forget at times that what you do is a job as well. Like it's equally as important. Where yes, they're working and they're slaving, and when they come home, and you know, they in most men's mind they think, okay, well, they come home, you know, your hair's a mess, you're laying out on the couch, whatever, and it's like, wait a minute, what you been doing all day? You know, like what you been doing all day? Like I'm
in my pajamas still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so funny you say that because he used to say like, you don't even like get dressed anymore. Like you're not even like taking care of yourself. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm in the house all day. Like, what do I need to take care of? I mean, don't get me wrong. I took showers and stuff, but I wasn't like, when he met me, I was in heels and mini skirts and tight outfits and sexy lingerie. And then I have kids and I'm like in my sweatpants and my hair up. And, you know, I'm just not even like getting dressed up for him.
But this is the thing. And I think women failed to realize too, like when men decide, as you say, to step out, it's not where they're wanting to step out. Because I look at, it doesn't matter whether you have kids or no kids. you should always take care of yourself. And to me, it's like,
Always.
and like, you know, R. Kelly once said, if you take care of your shit at home, they don't need to go elsewhere.
That's
And
true.
and I think
Right.
for people, when they get in those situations where, yes, you're at home in your pajamas and shit laying around, it's not even where you're even thinking about that, because you have so many responsibilities
Yeah.
of being a mom. And then when they come home and you're laying on the couch eating chocolates and bonbons, and they're like, "Bro, what the fuck you been doing all day?"
That I
You
never
know?
did.
Yeah. And then so then obviously, you know, like to you, you take it as a bit of an, not just as an offense, but you ain't to avoid, if you're, unless you're an argumentative person, but if you're not a confrontational person, you sort of stomach that, and you're like, okay, well, they don't really understand, but I don't really want to have an argument, so I'm just gonna fucking keep quiet. And then as time goes on, when they start thinking, okay, well, she's not taking care of herself, she's being lazy, she's, you know, she doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm out there busting my ass. And that's when I always try to tell guys, hold up a second, like, understand what they do as a job too. And remember, they're doing a job they're not getting paid for.
Yeah.
Like they're holding down the fort for you, allowing you to continue to do your job. Because if
Yeah.
they didn't, if they decided to, hey, you know what, I ain't watching the fucking kids, I'm not doing that, and you got to go fly, as you say, fly out to Canada, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people in the industry and not in the industry seem to forget that you know, that being a mother is the hardest job on the planet. Like it's a thankless
It
job.
never
It's a
ends.
selfless. It never ends. And I think for, if a lot of guys would sort of wake up at times and realize that, you know what, like, it's about balance. And I think this is why I always stress to individuals, even like yourself, where I always say that, you know, people, they get into relationships, but they don't get into empireships. Because
Yeah.
a relationship is just about, okay, what I'm giving and what you're giving. An
Right.
empireship is like, we're balancing each other's equal, where it's like, okay, you're holding down the fort while I'm out there in battle.
Yeah.
But when the king comes home, we rule the kingdom together. Like everything
Yeah.
is about a power force. So like, you know, when you say, you know, you didn't feel that, number one, like, you know, you were there for him, do you feel that that was just due to the fact that you didn't think about the situation because you said you were so busy being a mom? Or
Yeah.
were you actually knowing full well that you weren't being there for them and just saying, I don't give a fuck?
No, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I mean, obviously, I was never a mom. There's no book on how to be a mom. I just knew I wanted to be a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, not saying I didn't have a good mom. I did have a good mom, but she worked all the time, and I had the opportunity to be home with my kids. So I wanted to give them everything I did not get, which was the
Mm-hmm.
love and the affection and the attention. But Sean needed it too, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I just didn't see it. And if he asked me to do something, he, you know, I specifically remember him one time asking me, I had to take my daughter to school, and he
Mm-hmm.
said, could you make me breakfast? And I was like, you know what? We have to leave in like 5 minutes. And he's like, could you just please make me breakfast really quick? And I go, but she's going to be late. And he's like, okay, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just wanted me to make the breakfast to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because he wanted me to show love towards him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an attitude. And I was like, this guy, like, doesn't he see I have to take the kids to school? Like, doesn't even
Mm-hmm.
care. And we just had that disconnect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I look back, I mean, to, you know, we always look back to see what we could have done different. And I think with me, I could have paid a lot more attention to him because he needed it, you know? And, you know, we people go outside of relationships for different reasons, but I just was so involved in my kids, and I still am involved in my kids. You know, I've been from day one with my kids all the time, um, and my relationship paid the price.
And so for you, like, I mean, obviously, you know, like going through any bit of, obviously now, like, breakup. You know, it's
Hmm.
one thing when you're in a relationship,
Yeah.
you know, when you're single and you don't have kids. But even no matter, regardless of like divorce is divorce, you feel like you failed. And then to do it with kids, how was that adjustment for you? Like, how did you adjust to now stepping into, okay, you know, again, you had a life before what you envisioned, didn't work out. Now you're in another life where you now have to pick up the pieces again and start over, but not just start over on your own now, again, like you did in the first one, but now going, okay, I got now these three children to think about. So like for you, like what would you say was like the hardest moment and the biggest regret in both of those situations?
The hardest moment was telling him I was going to leave.
Your kids or Sean?
Sean. My kids were too little.
Okay.
My son Marlon was only 3 years old, 3.5. But you know, so he stepped out of the relationship, and I mean, I'm not innocent. I'm not going to sit here and put blame on Sean. You know, I grew up with a dad who cheated on my mom in our own house, and so I didn't have the best example of a dad. So anytime I would get in a relationship with somebody and they would cheat on me, I would get him back. That was just how I dealt with it. I was like my way of dealing with my mom accepting my dad cheating on her.
Hold that thought. Guys, if you're just jumping in tonight, welcome to another edition of Hot Topics Radio TV After Dark. Tonight joining us, special guest Ursula Alberto in the building. If you have a question for her, please drop it in the comments below. We will answer those questions towards the end of tonight's show. If you missed this podcast and you want to watch it in full on replay, don't forget, join us this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch it in full live on HotTopicsCelebTV.com. I'm your host, DTeflon on the MIC. You can follow me at DTeflon if you enjoy this podcast tonight. Also, you can follow Ursula Alberto on her Instagram. We will continue. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, you know, he stepped out of the relationship and then I did it back to him. And, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. And it was in that relationship that I learned some of the biggest lessons, because I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And I ended up in therapy, and I just made up some reason why I needed to go to therapy, my dad or whatever. You know, it was easy for me to just say I want to go into therapy. And of course, Sean was always okay with everything. And I was in therapy, and I remember telling the lady I'm having an affair with somebody, and I have kids. I have my first daughter, and I'm in a relationship, and I'm completely unhappy. Not in my relationship. I was unhappy with what I was doing. And she said, you have to tell him. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I told him. And I think that was the hardest thing to go through, because you know, to see somebody cry that I never seen cry before. And that was the moment I was like, you know, the things that I'm doing are not right. And yeah, so we ended up.
And that takes a big thing for any person, even for you to admit.
Yeah.
That, you know, because a lot of people, they know things are not right, but they still do them anyway because they have this sense of ego where they're like, I'm not gonna bow down. I'm not gonna admit that I'm human and I make mistakes, because I think especially in that world, even for you, being a fitness model where it is about you being perfect, looking perfect. And then in our industry, it's about, you know, being unflawed. But there's so many flaws that we have that people just ignore. So like, continuing what you're saying, like, you know, it's a good point you said that.
I mean, we're human, you know, this is how we learn and grow. But for me, it didn't sit well with me to see, even though he had done it to me, it was really hard for me to see what I had done to him. So we ended up in therapy a little bit. We decided that we'd stay together. This is at the time when we just had Layla, my oldest daughter. And then after in therapy. We stayed together. We had two more children, Ilea and Marlon. And then that then I found out he was stepping out again. And I just couldn't, at that point, I just couldn't stay in the relationship. I had two daughters, that I'm raising. And I'm like, how can I raise two daughters with this happening? I couldn't put my blinders on.
Did you?
And
Okay,
I
so
always,
for you,
and
when
I
you,
always say, like, I'm sorry.
no,
I
no,
always say that, like, if I didn't love him,
hmm
I could just stay in the relationship and just do the same thing and you know what I mean? Or put my blinders on and pretend that it's not happening, that
hmm
I don't know what he's doing, or I could do what he's doing, you know?
hmm
But I loved him so much. It hurt me so deeply that this was still going on in our relationship that I just could not bear to be with him anymore. I was like, I have to leave this
hmm
relationship. And it took me a while to leave, but I eventually did. And yeah, it was hard. It was the hardest thing to tell him that I was going to leave. And I
when
walked
you,
out with, I didn't have a job. I was a
hmm
stay-home mom. I left with three little kids and started a whole new life. I didn't even work for 12 years. So it was scary. And people might say, "Oh yeah, well he has money. You're going to be okay." Well, no, because that money doesn't last forever.
hmm
And it always is based on what he's doing. And so, yeah, at the time he was doing movies, but then he transitioned that into doing, stand up, and that will always affect, you're not getting paid all this money like people think you are, and it is never what people think it is. But I had to start over, and I also knew that I couldn't just live off this money. I had to start a career again,
hmm
and it's hard. I was 40 years old. I was 40 years old and I had three little kids, and I had to start all over again. So it wasn't easy. I've had a lot of ups and downs along the way, but I wouldn't change anything in my path because my children are who they are. Um, See, I get emotional talking about this. Yeah, they've seen both sides.
hmm
It's hard.
No, and I think
Yeah,
with anything, a situation like that, I mean, for you,
yeah,
like when you found out that he had stepped out, and as you said, you felt prior to that you weren't being there in certain ways.
yeah.
When he stepped out, were you surprised by that? Like were you like, oh my god? Because I mean, I look at you, I know you as, and I'm like, I can't even think about cheating on this girl. Like, you're just stunning, and it's like, what really are you gonna find out there that's gonna be better? And I think but I think the fact that you were honest to say, hey, you know what, like, I wasn't there. So I'm saying, like, when you found out he was cheating, was it a shock? And what did that do to you? How did that make you feel personally?
The second time I found out, yes, it was a shock because I thought we had wiped the slate clean and
Mm-hmm.
we had two more children. I'm like, we have a whole family now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we have an amazing life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I kept thinking. We have this amazing life with amazing children, and I had the best life ever. And how are we going to ruin it? Just like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the second time was a shock for me. Maybe the first time wasn't so much, but the second time was. And, um, but I believe that I believe that I had to do the right thing. And I didn't know what direction my life was going to go in. All I knew is that I had to walk away. And, there were some people that said, you're so stupid to walk out of that relationship. I mean, you have everything you wanted, but that isn't going to make you happy.
Happy. Mm-hmm.
For me, it's always about being happy. It's never been for the money,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But we live in a society out here, especially in LA, where everybody cares so much about money and status. And I've lived that life,
Materials. Yeah.
material things, and it does not make you happy. So yeah, I left, and I didn't work for the first couple years because my kids were very young. I was still driving them to school, and my son was still at home with me. He wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even in school yet. So I was home a lot with him. And then as I tried everything, I tried bartending, um, you know, um,
I went back into fitness. That was basically what I did, but I wasn't sure if that's really what I wanted to do. So I just kept trying different odd jobs here and there. And then I ended up back in fitness. I ended up competing again at the age of 45, I believe, and just started, that kind of brought me back into the fitness industry. And then that was how I was able to start the personal training up again. And I just went back to what I knew. And plus, mind you, the whole time that I was with Sean, I didn't just let myself go, just because I
Definitely
wasn't
not.
competing. No, I mean, he had a gym in his house. So that was mandatory that I was like, I have to be able to work out. So yeah, maybe I wasn't like in high heels and tight outfits every day, but I worked out. And I was very religious about working out. So I was actually in better shape when I had my children than when I was competing.
And I can attest to that. I mean, so for
Yeah.
you, like, I mean, you to me have broken so many stereotypes in the sense of where, you know, there's always been this thing for women, especially once you have kids, to feel that they should stop being sexy. They should stop feeling sexy because of people who will say to them, when you have kids, you shouldn't wear that or post pictures like that or look like that. And you having this incredible physique, I mean, legitimately one of the best I've ever seen in any female that I've ever known. And to do it on a consistent level, and as you said, when this happened, you were 40, and now, like, in your later age, to me, you live up to the credo of like fine wine. You keep getting better year after year. What do you feel has been your secret to having this a fountain of youth, be this, this, you don't seem like, because I mean, anyone that's watched her videos, you don't get fucking tired. Like, you seem to just go and go and go and go, and like an energizing bunny. So like, where does that come from? Where do you find this thing of like, for you, 50 is the new 20?
Yeah, I have passion. I have a passion for fitness. I did from the moment I stepped into the gym. I mean, before that, when I was reading labels in high school, I just love fitness. I love working out. I love the way it makes me feel. Of course, the way it makes you look, because when we look good on the outside, we feel good on the inside. I'm not saying looking good on the outside is everything, because it's not. But when we feel good on the outside, we feel good on the inside. And I don't know, I love fitness. I love working out, and it was easy for me. And then, I already knew what to eat and how to eat. And I've changed the way I eat so much, even from when I competed. I don't eat gluten. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat red meat. I only eat kosher chicken. I've, eliminated so many things out of my diet now. I try to just eat really like whole foods now. Whereas when you're in fitness, you're pretty much eating all kinds of meat, and as long as you're eating protein, that's all that matters. But yeah, it's easy for me now because I have worked out for so long, and I don't have to work out as hard. I do still work out hard because I enjoy it, but I don't have to. So I can leave for a week somewhere and not miss anything. I look exactly the same, But I also don't go on vacation and have burgers and eat all the French fries and just go off the chain. Like, I don't. I still eat clean. No matter where I go, I'm always looking at the cleanest thing on the menu because I enjoy eating clean. It's not, and also, I tell my clients this all the time, we have one body. One body. We have to take care of it the best we can. I do not want to die of heart attack and diseases and all of these things. I mean, we all know we're going to die, but I don't want to
Hold on
die
one
that
second.
way.
You got Rick Cuban 32E.
Oh,
Ursula is an amazing human being, mom and friend. She's one of the strongest people I know and has overcome a lot. Through the fire, she keeps it inside. I love you, Ursula.
Oh, I love you, Rick.
For you, so like, I mean, you being this woman, I mean, I've watched and got to know you, and seeing how many people and women that you have inspired to, and even when the women that you train, I mean, even I tell you, you have like that mini me that you train with all the time. That looks like you, sort of. Like
Oh,
she's like a
Tiffany.
yeah,
Tiffany,
she's
yeah.
like a mini version. And it's like for you, being this woman in her, you know, later years, I don't like to say woman's age, you know, but again, looking to me, could probably go on stage and destroy every 25-year-old girl out there. What advice, you know, would you give for the women who reach a certain age where they're like, you know, afraid to be, as I said, because you're still a sex symbol, you know, you're still an icon in the industry, but like for you and now being a mom, what advice would you give for someone who battles with that struggle, that, as you said, that internal struggle inside to go out there and do what you do?
You mean to like work out
Work out and look good and just and as you said, feel good about themselves, because I mean, you're a warrior. You have gone through what most people would not be able to come back from mentally, and you know, even emotionally and even physically. Because again, it's like some people get, you know, they go through those things, they get depressed, they start eating, they start drinking, they start, you know, doing all things that are adding more toxins in their body. But you did the opposite. You took your pain, you took your struggles, and you said, okay, I'm going to turn this into something positive. Did you realize as you were doing that, and to now, with all the women that you've trained and changed their lives, that you would be in a position to be changing lives the way that you do for so many women that you train?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I've been in fitness so long that of course I have a passion for helping people. So you can't help everybody. I mean, there's just some people you can't help. But what I would say to women is your power is within you. It really is. So it doesn't make sense to go get out of a relationship and just say, you know what, I'm depressed. I'm going to just let myself go and I'm going to eat whatever I want and drink and just say, fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. Your power will always be within yourself. So the best medicine when you get out of a relationship is to put more into yourself, work out harder, eat better, because you'll feel so much better than where is it going to get you to sit in the couch and just eat a bunch of junk and drink alcohol and cry your tears away? Like that isn't going to help you. It never is going to help you. It's going to make you feel worse. And then you're going to get fat and you're going to go, okay, now I'm not in a relationship and I'm fat, you know? So I always did the opposite. So if I got out of a relationship and it didn't work out and I started feeling depressed, well, you better know I'm in there working out. You know, I'm like, okay, I've just put my energy towards that. And the gym has saved me countless times, so many relationships that, you know, I felt depressed in or just in life. And I always went to the gym and I was like, you know what, I'm going to take it out in the gym and I'm going to put everything into this and feel good at least on the inside and the outside. And that's what I always did. There is no power in sitting at home.
So for you having that, you know, having to, as you said, not start over just once, but now, as you said, start over twice with kids, then, as you said, not working for 12 years, what kept you going? Like, and this is something I want, you know, that for women who are out there who have gone through what you've gone through, what advice would you give them to get through those times?
Well, your kids. I mean, I had 3 children that relied on me. And I wasn't going to just sit there and give up and say, oh, well, you know, it didn't work out with this guy or whoever I was with. And, you know, now I'm just going to sit around and be lazy. No, I have 3 children that are looking up to me. And however I am is going to be a reflection on them. So my kids gave me the strength. And then I don't know. I just also had the strength within myself, and I grew up with a mom that was, you know, raised 4 kids on her own. So, you know, watching a mom raise 4 children on her own, you get strong from watching that. You know, seeing what my mom went through, I'm like, I can do it too. So a lot of
So,
it's passed down too.
so if you could have a conversation with Ursula Alberto now, with your younger version of yourself, going back to the beginning, what would you say to that girl,
To my younger self?
your younger self?
Wow. It's a really good question. Um, I think that I would have told myself to, I would have got more into the spirituality at a younger age, for sure, because that has been life-changing the last couple of years for me.
What regrets do you have from your younger self to now? Or do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets because I believe that everything is a lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and those lessons are put in that place for you to learn from them. And without those lessons, we would not be who we are. And I don't believe that anything is just, I believe everything is meant to happen the way it's meant to happen. And if you do not learn the lessons along the way, they will keep repeating. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the same relationship with the same guy year after year, decade after decade. It was just a different face because I had these lessons I needed to learn and I was not learning them. So
Mm-hmm.
I would end up with the same guy, different face. And I never understood. I was like, why do I keep getting in these relationships? I don't get it. Like, I'm a good person, I'm loving. I mean, you tell yourself all these things that you are,
Mm-hmm.
but I would end up in the same place. And
Do you feel that's because people don't want to look at themselves of like where they're the problem? Because it's
yes,
like, I
of
think.
course, it has to be you. I mean, you cannot blame everybody. You cannot say, well, this guy did this and that guy did that. At some point, you have to turn it around and look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Every person that we're in a relationship was a mirror of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, taking ownership. Well,
we
taking
have to
ownership.
take ownership. There is no way that I could get in this many relationships in the same outcome. There's no way. There's something within myself. And that's what I started seeking last 2 years.
So if you could change, for example, like with the mistakes that you know that you made,
Hmm.
what would be the one, if you had one thing that you know, okay, if I could go back and do differently, what would that thing be?
I would love myself more. I did not love myself at all. So I allowed certain things to happen, or I was okay with certain things. I didn't have boundaries. Um, I didn't value myself. And I mean, early on in my relationships, I could have given a lot more attention, like I said, to Sean, and not been all about my children.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to get like a medal for being a great mom, you know. So I could have done more in that relationship. But after that, I would say that I just didn't have enough self-love. So I kept getting in these relationships and I knew that they weren't the best for me, but I was like, you know what? I would always try to look at the best in everyone and even myself. I'm like, I'd have excuse for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly could not say that I love myself enough. Because if you love yourself, you wouldn't even allow certain things to happen
Mm-hmm.
in certain situations. And I allowed a lot of things to slide by for many years. Um, Maybe because I didn't think that I would do better or deserve better.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I went through all the toxic relationships and just be kinder to myself and kinder to others. You know, you have to be careful what you say to people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, those things they don't disappear. I've
Mm-hmm.
said some mean things to people that I've been in relationships with, and I'm not saying that they haven't said mean things to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I can only take responsibility for myself. And when you call people names and degrade them, some of that stuff sticks with them for years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just didn't, I wasn't a good person towards people when I felt like they cheated or they did me wrong. I was mean.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you don't have to be that way. So
Like
yeah,
for you, like being a mother and obviously being a role model and having kids and them looking up to you, and even if they weren't your kids, with the things that you've experienced, you know, if you were to give them advice in regards to the past things that you have done, whether you regret it or done or not, what advice would you give a young person who looks up to you as a role model and says, hey, you know what, like, I want to be like you? What advice would you give them?
Well, you know, I'm really close to my kids. We talk about everything. I always just tell them, you know, just if something doesn't feel right, definitely don't do it, because our intuition is always very strong and it's always trying to tell us stuff. We just ignore it. But always don't just run away from things either. Like if you, for instance, if you're in a relationship with somebody and communication is so huge, just communicating your feelings, their feelings, and try to come to an understanding. I don't think there's ever a reason to stay with someone if there's cheating involved. There really isn't. That is something that I don't think anybody should stay in a relationship for, because they don't respect you or you don't respect them. But
your opinion on cheating, why do you feel people cheat, think people cheat in a relationship?
I think for different reasons. I think some people that they just, honestly, I don't know exactly why people cheat, but it could be numerous reasons. Like for men, it could be like for my situation with Sean, I didn't really give him attention. I was so busy with my kids, and, you know, I mean, you have all these beautiful women that are dressed, you know, to the tilt, coming on to you at some point, and you're like, I got to go home to this person who's like in her sweatpants and her hair's up in a ponytail. You know what I mean? It's tempting. So I get it. Like, I understand that. Not saying it's right, but I get it, you know? But that's where you have to have communication with each other. Like, he has to tell me, you know, like, I think he tried. I think I was just like, what? You know, I'm comfortable now.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to men, what women don't realize is that, like, it's not what you said, you know, you think he tried. It's not what we think we try, is that I think people, when they're in relationships, when, like you're laid back until given a reason not to be. And I think where people, when they get into a relationship where it's like, okay, if you're a woman, you don't want to be that nagging bitch. You don't want to be that girl that's constantly, you know, who is that? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And guys have this thing where, you know what, if she doesn't bring it up, she don't talk about it, everything's good.
Right.
And that's where the miscommunication happens. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in this, what I call quicksand relationship, where it's like every move, like when you're standing in quicksand, every move that you make pulls you that much deeper in until it reaches neck level and you start choking and you're like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And you know, when you can't breathe, you start to try to fight for your life. But understand, just like, take for example what happened with, you know, George Floyd. He was a knee on his neck fighting for his life, saying he can't breathe. But he was not in a position of power when someone's pressing a knee on your neck to get out of that situation. And it's the same thing when people are in relationships. It's like they're looking for this person to step in and pull them, you know, the person off of them to say, hey, you know what, like, I know you can't breathe. But I think that's where, again, you look at life in general, and especially obviously like with what happened, George Floyd life. And I mean, even the girl who filmed the video, you know, she filmed the video, and yes, without her video, we wouldn't even be here in this situation today, because we would never hear about it, we'd never see it. But even for her, she's like, she said today, she goes, it was a great win, but I wish I could have done more. In the sense of, rather than stand there, and that's what I've always
could have saved his life, maybe.
Exactly, and that's why I would tell people, I'm like, if you see me in that situation, and you see me technically drowning, because that's what you are, you're drowning in that moment.
Yeah, you're gonna be videotaping.
Listen, I'll take a brick, hit that motherfucker in the head, like, and get
exactly. Charge him, do something.
Exactly.
You know?
And I
Yeah.
think that's where people need to do that. And that's why for me, like when it comes to my friends who are in relationships, issues and stuff, they're always like, D, you're so hard with me. But I'm like, listen, I'm hard with you because I'm your real friend.
Yeah,
Like real friends tell you the truth.
exactly.
Fake friends tell you what you want to fucking hear. And
Yeah,
I'm not here to shit because if I care about you as a
I'm gonna be
person,
honest. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest and I'll be like, yo, you're making bad decisions. In the end, obviously, the decisions are yours to make.
right.
But I'm not going to do my due diligence as a friend. And that's where a lot of times, too, where, with certain people that were in situations like yours, where it got exhausting for me. Because
Yeah,
I'm watching them self-destruct themselves over and over, as you said, going through multiple relationships
yeah,
with the same result. And I'm like, yo, it's not the guy. Fucking you. Like, you need to accept that. Yes, it takes two to tango.
yeah.
But if you want a better result, make a better choice.
Mhm.
Or maybe take time out. Make
Yeah.
time out, as you said, to self-love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you're no good for anybody in a relationship. Because what I think people
Well, I think
do
also we always try to change people,
exactly.
And I remember Sean's sister told me this years ago, Kim. She says, change yourself and you'll change Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to change him. Just change yourself. And I was like, what? What does that mean? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't understand, and I get it now. Like, I mean, that's what I've been doing the last 2 years. I changed myself completely from the inside out. And as I change myself, everybody around me is changing.
Well, I
Or
think,
or if
mhm.
they don't, they drop off. You're not friends with them anymore,
Well, that's the thing. I think when it comes to people, and I say this, I always stress this a lot with people who have gone through what you've gone through, because I've gone through it. I've
Yeah.
gone in bad relationships and in and out of good ones and bad ones, and trying to, you always have the question like why has it happened to me? Like I'm a good person, I put out good energy, I love, and then you still get treated like shit. But what I've learned in a sense in those situations is that the people that we meet in life, doesn't matter whether it's friends, family, or relationship, if every single interaction that you have with somebody, if they're not teaching you something, like if you don't walk away from that conversation going, I learned some shit,
Yeah.
then you're not growing.
Right.
If you're not growing, then you're not building. And if you're not building with that person, then what fucking purpose do you have being in my life? You're just taking space. That's why I tell people, it's like you have to really assess the people. It's truth in what they say. You are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
You
So
surround
true.
yourself around shitty people. People, number one, that are in bad, even positive people. Where, for example, you could be in a great relationship with somebody,
Hmm.
and then you get that girlfriend who's gone through what you've gone through, and they become jaded. And then all of a
100.
sudden, when they start seeing their friend being happy, being like finally coming into that place where like, oh my God, I found a really good guy. You get that one friend chirping, oh, he's gonna cheat, girl. He's no good, girl. He's gonna
Right.
fucking this girl.
Yeah.
Because they, and I'm like, and I was telling them
Because
like,
they've been
what
through stuff.
exactly? And I'm like,
Yeah.
what your situation is your situation.
That's
Everyone's
true.
situation is different. I have no right to tell someone what to do, but as my friend, I'm the type of person I'll speak once on it. If you come to me, you're like, hey, D, you know what? Like, I don't know what to do with this guy. If the guy's a good guy, I'll vouch for him. If he's a fucking scumbag, I'm going to tell you why he's a scumbag. I'm going to tell you the things that you don't want to fucking hear or don't want to see. But then once I say it, it's up to you.
Yeah.
After that decision, if you make a wrong decision, I don't want to hear it again because it's just going to be a repeating cycle
Yeah,
of
and
me.
sometimes people just have to go through their stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes
Everyone.
they got to go through the hardship. They got to,
Mm-hmm.
until they're done, they're going to keep going through it,
And,
and you got to let them go through it.
that brings up my next point, which is a good thing you said that,
Yeah.
is that do you feel, and this is just in general in life, because like for example, today they were in the trial, they were talking about, throughout that trial, they tried to paint George Floyd because of his past
Oh yeah, he is.
as a bad guy.
Right. But he
And I
doesn't
think
deserve to die.
exactly. And the thing is that, I think in society, we find that people, especially now in the social media era, where we deal with so many judgmental assholes. Today, I love having you on because I think this is the first time for people who, as you said, who said to you, "Oh, you're crazy for leaving Sean," or "You're crazy, like you had the world, you had money and this and that." And then when situations happen like that with someone of public status, they blame you. Like they're like, "Well, she must be crazy. Or it must be her fault because no woman who has that person
Would leave.
who's a celebrity, who makes a lot of money, is gonna just throw that away."
Wow.
They're gonna and
Oh, a lot
that,
of people stay. Trust
of
me, a
course,
lot of people
of course.
stay.
But for you, is that, do you feel like when you've made bad choices in life in your earlier days, you should be judged by that the rest of your life?
No, of course not, because we all have the ability to change, and most of the time we are going to change. If you're not, you're going to repeat those cycles. Like I said, I think we all are trying to be better people. Sometimes we just don't have direction. Also, everything comes from our childhood, how we were raised. If you don't have the best role models, it takes you a little bit longer to learn these things in life, versus somebody that has better role model.
Who was your role model growing up?
My mom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my mom raised me. She was a single mom. But, she made her mistakes. My mom was not affectionate. She never told me she loved me. I just remember my mom paying the bills,
Mm-hmm.
and barely can do that sometimes. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she supported us. That's what I felt like. She put a roof over our head and she supported us in a way of like making sure we had food and stuff. But I didn't get the affection. I wasn't taught about relationship. My dad was off, starting another family. So I didn't have the best role model. So at a very young age, I jumped into a relationship. And then that was the beginning of me trying to navigate on how to deal with a relationship.
So do you feel from your mom not giving you that affection plays into a part of what you said, when you were in even a relationship with Sean, like not knowing how to
Yes, give
respond?
them what they need. Yes, of course. I mean, his family's really big on hugging. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
grow up in a family that hugged. I never had my mom hug me or anybody, so it's not normal for me. So like his brother would come over and they would all be looking at me like, okay, like you're not gonna hug? And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay. I mean, it literally took me like a year to do that because it was weird,
Are you a hugger now?
Huh?
Are you a hugger now?
Yes, I am a hugger now. Exactly. And they would force me to hug. And I was like, okay. And I loved it. I did love hugging, but I just wasn't used to it. It takes time. We're all taught different things. You can't blame someone for not knowing but you can teach them, just teach them. Just say,
But they
hey,
have to be willing to learn, though, because that's the difference.
you have to be
People
willing to
say that,
learn.
oh yeah, people say, oh, teach me. I'm like, but are you willing to learn? Like, are you willing
Right.
to open yourself up? Because you
That's
could, it's
true.
like, for example, take you being as a trainer. Like, I aspire to look like you, and you're a fucking female. And I'm like, yo, like I wake up in the morning, I get depressed. I'm like, yo, this fucking girl. Like, that's why I said to you, I'm like, one day training with you, I'd probably end up in the emergency in a wheelchair because I'm like,
I'll be easy on you.
I watch your videos and I'm just like, this girl is the Terminator. She's a machine. She's not human.
I've had to learn to tone it down.
Yeah,
I have hurt some people.
I'm sure you have, because I'm like, it doesn't
I
make
don't even
sense
know because I've been training this way for so long that
so long.
that
It's
I'll
normal
get
to
a
you.
beginner that will come with me and I always ask them a trillion questions. Oh, I've been training for a long time. Oh, I've had this trainer. Oh, that trainer. I'm like, oh, okay. I remember I got one girl, and she's like, I have the best trainers. I mean, they always train me hard. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
really? Okay, I better step it up with her. So I did. I put her through such a hard workout, and she called me the next day, and she said that her ankles were broken. And I'm like,
Yeah.
your ankles are broken? And I'm like, I don't think so. And I go, are you walking? And she's like, yeah, I'm walking. And I said, well, then they're not broken because you wouldn't be walking. And she's like, I'm going to sue you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like,
Well, I know you. I mean, I know you when it. That's why.
I was like,
It
maybe I'm
frightens me
training
with
her
legs.
too hard.
You do, because I mean, honestly, when I see you do legs, it frightens me because I don't. I'm the guy. I do not do legs. Like I do not do legs because I
I
have
do
bad
not
knees,
do
bad
legs.
arthritis. I just do not like. If I go to the gym, legs are not happening. That's out of the equation.
You're
Don't
one of
ask me.
those. You're one of those
Yes,
that
I am one of those, and I admit it. And I am one of those people because
bigger
I
upper body.
I remember when I did, because my ex was like you. She was a trainer. And
I will
I
make,
did.
look, even Rick just said it. He said, Ursula will make you do legs. That's right. I made my
I will
son
not
do
do
it.
legs. I don't care what I will not, because I'll tell you why.
But
I
you
remember I
have
did
to. I mean,
I don't gotta do a damn thing. I am not doing legs. Like
I'm not
the
doing
most
legs.
legs. Listen, you want to get me on a bike? I'll do that shit.
Just
You
start
want
off
to?
slow. You don't have to go like all out.
It's
No.
not even about slow. One, I've got really bad arthritis in my knees for starters.
Okay, here we go with the excuses.
It's not excuses. Two, I'll tell you the reason why. Because I remember when I went back in the day. You know, I was
He said
working.
Ursula.
I was
Sorry.
working private. I was working private security, and I remember like we had a detail that I was like dealing with, and I remember having to run after somebody. And this was like I decided to
you were
make a
sore?
mistake. Sore. You know when you're having sex and you get that leg spasm in the back of your leg, and when the guy's on you, missionary guys, I think you know what I'm talking about. And you know that like, okay, I gotta keep trying to straighten out my leg. I don't want to fuck up the rhythm and shit. Well, that was like me working, because I literally remember running behind my guy and I had my arm on him, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I was down on the ground. He was looking back at me, and I'm like, and literally there was a crowd of people around on a red carpet, and I'm literally like, oh my god, I can't straighten my leg. And it was from that day on, I said, I came home. I remember I got into the biggest fight with my ex, and I was like, I can't believe you have me fucking training legs before I have to go to work. I'm never doing this. And literally, I kid you not, since that day, I will do a bike ride. That's the most. I bike ride every day, so I bike ride every day.
Good for you.
But you will never see me. I have not. I kid you not. I go to, when I do train, go to the gym. If I need to do legs, I kick to get my legs into shape, because I used to be a kickboxer. So I'll kick boards and whatever. But the last time I can say to you that I sat in the fucking machine.
So you're not going to squat?
No, squatting does not happen. The only
Well,
way I'm squatting is
what do you think
when I'm
sitting
going
in
to
a
the
chair
bathroom.
is?
When I'm going to take a shit or talking to you on this podcast, then I'll be squatting. But in the sense of, other than that, I do not do squats, my friend. I will vicariously live squatting through you, through watching your videos.
I do a lot of leg stuff.
You do a lot
of leg stuff. And when I have somebody do upper body, I'm always doing legs with upper body. They're like, this isn't leg day. And I'm like, no, it's not, but just do it. Like, what do you mean? They're like questioning me sometimes. Like, I thought we just did legs. And I'm like, just do it. Just, why do you have to question me? Like,
but you have everything. So for you, like, what's the body part that people, because I mean, I look at you and I'm like,
my worst body
perfect.
part?
No, not your worst body part. Like, because you got so many great body parts. You've got ass, you've got legs, you've got calves that stand
I
out.
don't have calves.
You do have calves. I've seen your calves.
I do not have
I've
calves.
seen your
And I
calves.
don't ever train calves. So we talk about something we never train. I never train calves.
So
I
how
don't
do
like
you maintain?
training.
How do you
All that
maintain
jumping
that?
I do.
Okay.
So you a lot of times when you're jumping, you're on your toes. So I mean, it has to be that the stair climber.
Okay.
But I never I mean, I did early on, and when I was competing. But as soon as I was done competing, I'm like, I'm never training calves ever again, and I haven't. I don't even train biceps.
So I know for you, like, of being a personal trainer, and then you took your next journey into real estate. How did that come about for you? Like, what made you want to get into real estate and flipping houses and stuff? And you know, and again, where is your passion? Is it more the fitness, or is it more now into the real estate?
I'm going more towards the real estate. So yeah, I was training a client. She was a broker, and we were just talking. And I mean, and I was like, yeah, you know, I've always wanted to flip houses. She's like, yeah, you should do it. You know, just like conversation we're having. But you know how you have a conversation with people all the time, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and you just never do. And so this is how crazy it is. One day I kept thinking about it. Like, I just kept visioning it. Like, they say the power of the mind and the vision of when I saw myself doing it. And one day I laid down on the couch, I fell asleep, and I woke up to an infomercial. You're going to think this is funny. Into an infomercial on real estate. On, you could buy these tapes and you can learn how to flip houses. And I said, you know what, I think I'm going to buy those. I'm going to learn how to flip houses. So I bought them. I think they were like $60. The next day I get a call from a real estate guy, and I'm like, oh, it must be from the tapes I just bought. So before you know it, he talked me into signing up to this program on real estate. And I'm like, that's weird. I just bought the tapes. What do I need this program for? But anyways, whatever. I'll join. I mean, it took him a minute to talk me into it because it wasn't cheap. I must have got lucky or I'm blessed because there's a lot of bad companies out there. And I started with this program online on how to flip houses. And within a few months, I was putting in offers on my first house. They literally walk you through it. They have the best modules, and you just follow the modules, and then you have a coach, and then they walk you through it. And they're like, okay, well, now you know what to do. It's time to put in offers. And I'm like, offers? And they're like, yeah, like on buying a house. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm scared. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And so they kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. And then I was like, they're like, just put in as many offers as you can. And they figure out how to do the numbers. It's all about numbers. And so I was like, okay. So I just started putting offers in, and then somebody took it, and they accepted my offer. And I was like, shit, what? How am I going to get the money for this? I don't have any money. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I remember talking to the coach, and she's like, you'll find the money. And I'm like, I'll find the money. Okay, I guess you just think I have money laying around. And they're like, you know what, you should call and talk to some of the closest people to you. And I'm like who? Who am I going to call? My mom doesn't have money. My mom was frugal her whole life, you know. She always said she never had money. So I was like, okay, let me just try it. I'll call my brother and I'll call my mom. And my brother's like, yeah, I'll give you some money. And I'm like, what? You will? Yeah, I'll support you. So I was like, all right, I need more money. So let me call my mom. And I called my mom. And my mom, can I borrow some money? Well, how much? And I told her, 100 grand. Okay. I was like, are you kidding me? My whole life you said you didn't have money, and now all of a sudden you have 100 grand. So she helped. It was basically my brother and my mom. They helped me put down money. So I put an offer in a house, and I put down the deposit, and I just started flipping. I mean, they literally guided me. I would text them and say, look, this is what's going on. I don't know what to do. They would guide me through it. And yeah, I did my first property. And then I met the owner of the company, and we started dating. And he really helped me a lot, like really helped me a lot with just, I mean, he doesn't live here in California, so it wasn't like he could be there at my properties, but he would guide me. So like if I had a question or I wasn't sure about something, I'd call him and I'd be like, I don't know what to do. What do you think I should do? And he's like, do this, that, and that, you know? And I just did it. It's kind of like online training. If somebody's going to tell you how to do something, either you can sit around and not do it, or you can like follow what they give you. If they give you a video and you just watch it exactly how they're doing it and you mimic that, that's what I did. It was like anytime somebody gave me advice, whether it was his coach, because I worked one-on-one with his coaches or one of his coaches. And then if I had any big questions, I would ask him, but he's super busy because he's doing tons of real estate. So I didn't want to just call him every 2 seconds. Like, can you hold my hand through this? So if it was a big question, I'd ask him. But if it wasn't, I would ask the coach that I was working with and walk me through the process. And I hired a contractor because when you're first starting out, like you don't know anything about construction, so it's important that you hire a contractor, and you always have to interview them. And I just took the one that I thought that was the best out of all of them, not the lowest, not the highest. Took the middle guy, and I flipped my first property, and I had basically the contractor is going to do all of the work, like all of the construction. But when it comes to picking out design, that's you. I mean, he's not going to pick out the design. I mean, he's just doing the work.
Okay.
So yeah, I just started. The guy I was dating guided me through a few ideas and things to look at, like go on House. I would pull up houses that have recently sold that were like more expensive in the area, and I'd go on open houses and see what the latest thing is in the houses now. So that's really how I started to learn design.
Okay.
And I started picking out design, and that really ended up being my my knack. It was the design part. I didn't even know I had that in me, to be honest. And then I went from my first one, then I went on to my second one, my third, my fourth. I'm in my fifth right now. So I'm in my fifth flip property. And on my fourth, no, not my fourth, my third flip, I got rid of the contractor. I solely did it on my own. I mean, I didn't do the construction. I hired out the construction. But it's a big difference when it's you have a contractor doing all the work versus you don't have a contractor now. You got to hire all the work. There is a huge difference. And that is where I learned everything. That house was the most stressful house I ever did. But that's where I learned all my lessons, was in that house. People taking advantage of me, looking at me as a woman, I don't know anything, and within a few words of conversation, they could tell that I didn't know enough. And so there were plenty of people standing in line to take advantage of me, going, this girl doesn't know a thing. But I got smart really quick when I started realizing that people were taking advantage of me, because always there's somebody out there that will tell you. I mean, I had some pretty good workers on the job that say, what did that guy charge you? And I tell them that he's ripping you off. He's overcharging you. And I'd be like, really? Well, what do you think I should be paid? And I just started talking to the workers that were out there helping me, and they're like, don't pay more than this. And I'd be like, all right, thank you. And it was the ones that looked out for me that helped me the most. And then I started firing people left and right. Like, nope, I'm not going to have, you start to see people clearly, their intentions. Some people they just want to get in and take advantage of you, and there's other people that really want to help you. Yeah, and so I had both. So now I'm back to hiring a contractor, but it's different now that I'm on my fifth house. The contractor that I did the first two properties with, we parted ways, and then we came back together now. And so now we are investing together. So we are partners. So he puts in 50% and I put in 50%. And so now he's invested. And he has to show me everything now. So I know what he's spending, and he can't lie. And he already knows that I've flipped the house on my own. So he knows I don't really need him, But we both found that it's better to partner, because there's no point in trying to do all the work yourself. I mean, yeah, you can make all the money, but you're going to find so many problems along the way. It's so much easier to hire someone that knows what they're doing, and that's their specialty. And we were just talking the other day at lunch, and he goes, you know what? I'm so glad that I'm not having to pick out all that stuff. He goes, I can't stand design. And I said, you know what? I can't stand construction. I just don't want to do it. So it's like a perfect little marriage between us, and we trust each other. We worked together before, and now it's easy. I don't have to be at the property every day. We just meet when we have to talk design, and he tells me what measurements, and I go on and I purchase everything. And I always ask him to, I'm not selfish. I don't just like go pick out design and put it in. I always go, what do you think of this? And, he does the same thing with construction. He doesn't just build a kitchen. He'll go, what do you think of this? Do you think we should do this? And we always seem to be on the same page. He's flipped tons of houses. We both have the same style. So yeah, it's really good.
What do you think for you has been the harder medium, not just as a woman, but just in general, of either being in a relationship and trying to find balance when you're by yourself. Being in a relationship and being out of that relationship and having to start over with kids, or starting a business on your own, or personal training clients.
Oh my God. Everything is hard. I'm not going to lie. It's like, it's just a different kind of hard, you know? It makes you a stronger person, I could say that, because I have no one to rely on but myself. You know, at the end of the day, it's me that has to get up and go to work and make money. It's me that, you know, I don't have anybody that I can turn to and say, hey, I don't feel like going to work today, or can you help me with this? I don't have that. And even when I was in my relationships, besides with Sean, because Sean was very giving in that relationship, you know, I mean, I didn't work. So, but any relationship after that, I've had to work my ass off, you know.
But do you feel you say you don't have that? Is that you have become too much of an independent that you don't want to ask for help? Or B, as many people are, they're afraid to ask for help because of either A, past situations where they've been screwed over, where they then lump everybody in the same category, where they're like, oh, I've been fucked over by this person, that person, okay, you know what, everyone's gonna fuck me over. Or they're just afraid to ask for help because they look at that as a sign of weakness.
Yes, that is me. I'm afraid to ask for help. Because
Either because of weakness or because of fear of being fucked over.
Oh no, not because I'm gonna get fucked over. It's because of feeling like it's a weakness. You know, I think because I was stay-home mom for so long, and then, you know, Sean had to give me child support. He wasn't happy about that part. Not that he didn't want to help me out, but there was a lot of conflict between the fact that he worked so hard for his money and that he had to give me money, you know? And I didn't want to have to take the money when I have 3 kids, you know, and I wasn't working. And I think that it stuck with me for so long that, like, I was like, I'm gonna do everything on my own, you know. And even though I did accept the child support, I still was working all the time. And another reason why I transitioned out of, or I am transitioning out of training people, and I don't know, I might still always be training people because it's such a huge passion of mine, but I don't want to trade my time for money anymore. It is draining. It's like, yeah, you can make good money personal training, but you can also not make money personal training, because the way the business is people come and go. And when when priorities come in, the trainer is the first person they're going to cut off, because it's not a priority. It's, you know, it's not a necessity. Anybody can go to the park and work out. Like, you don't have to have a trainer, you know? So every time I would go on a vacation, I was super stressed out. I was like, oh my God, I'm losing a week worth of work, you know? And I just don't want to live that way anymore. You know, I don't want to live, I want to be able to make money even when I'm not working, or make enough money to where I can take a vacation, you know, because, you know, right now I'm just flipping houses because you got to build up that equity. And then eventually I want to be able to buy houses and rent them out, because that is where you're going to make your money, where you can do whatever you want and you have that income coming in and they're paying down your mortgage. That is where I ultimately want to go to. And, you know, or Airbnb out your house. My sister's already been doing that for years. She's got a house in Thailand. She's got a house in Hawaii and 2 condos in Hawaii. And she just Airbnbs it out, and they're paying down her mortgage, and she even makes money off of it. So that's eventually.
There's this thing that, you know, I was going to ask you, what you said. It's like, you know, people, I feel at times, and women per se, I've been at times where they're in, as you said, you know, being an independent, being afraid to ask for that help. And sometimes I always say that, like, you know, and you see it happen all the time. Women have this sort of thing where they feel once either A, they reach a certain age, or they have a bunch of kids, that they come into this mental zone where they're like, because they've been doing it on their own for so long, that they don't even really see it, that they're self-sabotaging possible good relationships with men who legitimately could be the best partner for them because they're so independent, or they get to a certain point, as you said, in life where they're like, you know, nobody's going to want me because I have kids, you know, and they reach a certain age where they start thinking that. Like, for you, do you ever come into that zone where you feel, okay, you know what, like, maybe it's okay for me to, like, take that help if it's given genuinely? Because a lot of them, I know that, like, I know in my situation, I've had women who have dated who've had 3 kids, and they're, you know, but they were in a relationship for a long period of time where they felt they had a 4th kid with their partner because their partner was just not there.
Yeah.
And they were doing all the things and being and taking care of things, whatever. They finally said, okay, I'm out. But then once they got out of that situation, they were on their own. They finally had that independence, that freedom of not answering to somebody, that being able to do what they want and go at their own pace and live their dreams without having to worry about thinking about somebody else's. They box themselves. Where now they just look, okay, this is how I got to be in order to survive, because I'm afraid if I let myself open too much or even a little bit, that I could lose what I worked so hard to get out of that place where, as you say, they weren't feeling good about themselves. Do you ever have that internal struggle or think for yourself, like, maybe the reasons why my relationships and things haven't worked out because maybe I'm too independent?
I don't think you could be too independent. I mean, it is intimidating for some guys when they see that you are independent. But I mean, if I intimidate somebody because I'm independent, then they're just not the person for me, because I have to take care of my kids, and yeah, I'm a go-getter. I try to always try to figure out ways that I can make money. But I think the hardest thing for me is to ask for help from anybody I've been with. And I don't know.
Why is that?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know why it's hard for me. I don't want people to think that I am taking advantage of them, but yet I've had many people take advantage of me. So many people. Men even get in relationships with me, and next thing you know, I'm like taking care of them. I'm like, what? Like, how am I taking care of you now? And that's another reason why I cannot date younger, like too young, because I end up feeling like I'm the mom again, you know?
What's too young?
Well, I dated somebody 13 years younger than me,
Okay.
or 6 years, and that was too young.
But
Maybe
do
now,
you
maybe
feel
now
that? I
that
mean,
he's
do you truly
older, but at the time,
feel that age is a number? Because I mean, they always say age is nothing but a number. I
no,
think it's
I
all a
don't
mental
know.
space.
It is a mental space, but like, okay, for instance, I was 40 and he was 26.
Okay.
That was too young. He was
Definitely.
way too young, and he was still learning how to be a man. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, he said he learned how to be a man through being with me. But I needed a man. I need to another
Yeah.
child, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's the difficult part, I think, is having to not have to mother somebody, you
So,
know.
what are the qualities you look for in a man?
I do look at age now. I'm not going to lie. I do. I
Okay.
mean, I always ask somebody their age. Also, another reason why I ask age is because if they're too young, most men are going to want to have a family at some point. I've had my
So, what's
children.
that age for the people the potential viewers out there that, you know, may have a chance to win your heart? What's that
40 and
age?
up. 40
Okay.
and up. Yeah.
Okay. And what's
So,
the ideal man? What's the guy for you?
I mean, as long as they're not like, they don't have to be super rich if that's what, you know, most people are
Mm-hmm.
looking for. I'm not looking for rich. I'm looking for somebody with a good heart. And I
Mm-hmm.
look to see how they treat other people.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn a lot about someone about how they talk to other people. So if you
Mm-hmm.
hear them bad-mouthing people, talking shit about their exes, talking shit about their family, um, you know, their workers, then that's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be with somebody who's not kind to people anymore. Um, because if they're not kind to others, they're not going to be kind to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of time because everybody's always acting on their best behavior in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then that slowly starts to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess what I look for now is not what I was looking for even a couple of years ago. I used to be always about the physical, if they don't work out, they're not in shape, they're
So do
not.
they have to be a bodybuilder?
No, I haven't dated a bodybuilder since Milos. I haven't dated a bodybuilder. I mean, I've gone out with a few guys that, are bodybuilders, but I'm not like in long-term relationships.
Okay.
I mean, my last guy was in real estate. Yeah, he works out. I mean, everybody has worked out. I'm not going to date somebody that's completely out of shape, that has no interest in working out, especially when this is my passion. But do they have to be super ripped and, working out like crazy? No, they don't. I
Okay.
care more about the mind now, and I care more about the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That is one day our bodies are gonna go, everything's gonna go, and what are you gonna be left with? Their heart.
Maybe not you, because you're at this rate, your body ain't gonna go anytime soon. So I think
You know
you'll
what
be
I
in the
mean?
grave with
It's
abs
like,
still.
you know what I mean? It's like everything's changed for me, especially since I've become more spiritual. It's, you know, I mean, I'm in a whole nother group of people too now. So I'm around a lot more aware people, and people that are conscious of others. So I'm not even in the same group of people anymore.
Someone asked, do they have to train legs to date you?
For sure. For sure, legs. It's the first thing I'm going to train you on. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like my idea. I mean, of course, we want to be physically attracted to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
But
Black, white, Spanish. Do you have a
I
preference?
do not. I do not
Mm-hmm.
have a preference. Like I said, it comes from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like for instance, now what I'm starting to see in men is when they start talking, and I see how smart they are and how nice they are. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean like they're just being nice to you. I mean, they're nice to all their friends. And their
Mm-hmm.
friends have oh my God, he's such a great guy, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody has so much to say about them. That's when I start to feel my attraction. I'm starting to go, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
really? Like, so many people think you're so nice and so great, and they have only amazing things to say about you. That I'm starting to find more attractive now
Mm-hmm.
than the
So,
physical.
so I know you recently went on a spiritual journey, on a trip. Tell me about that. What was that experience like for you, and where did you go, and what did you do there?
Oh, so a couple months ago, I went to Costa Rica to Soltara,
Mm-hmm.
which is a healing center for ayahuasca. And
Actually, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Guys, we were just hopping in right now. You're probably a little bit late to the party, but tonight joining us, Ursula Alberto, live on Hot Topics Celeb TV, Hot Topics Radio TV, podcast After Dark. I'm your host, DTeflon of the MIC. Don't forget, you can join us each and every Tuesday. Special guest, Hot Topics in conversation with some of the most influential faces in entertainment. And every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on HotTopicsCelebTV.com. We do Hollywood Legends in conversation with some of your favorite actors, film, television. Next week, upcoming on this Sunday, from BET's Family Business and Uncut Gems, Sean Ringgold. The following week after that, from the Power series, for all you Power fans out there, Shane Johnson, Cooper Sachs will be in the building. And tonight, joining us, Hot Topics Radio TV podcast After Dark, Ursula Alberto in the building. If you missed this podcast and you want to watch it in full, don't forget the replay will be airing this Saturday, 8 p.m. Just go to the link in the bio, Hot Topics Celeb TV, and subscribe also to the channel on YouTube. And you can make sure you don't miss this playback. Continue what you're saying.
okay, so somebody was asking what we're discussing. So what we're discussing right now is my spiritual journey and my trip to Costa Rica. So yeah, I've always wanted to do ayahuasca, um, but I feel like with that situation, it's something that it calls for you, if that makes sense. It's not
Okay.
something, when the time is right, that's why I'll never tell anybody, oh, you should do ayahuasca, because um, it's something that you're going to have to feel within yourself. And when the time
Okay.
is right, you'll be called to do it.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt like broken in my heart. And one day I just went on Instagram and I just opened up this thing and this guy was talking about ayahuasca and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like I've always wanted to do that. And I just sent him a DM and I'm like, where did you go? And he's like, Soltara. It's like the best place ever. I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. So I looked it up and I was like, it's in Costa Rica. And I'm like, all right. And I booked it. And within 4 days, I was going to Costa Rica. And
Someone said, what's the name of the healing center you went to there? Gotta look it up.
Soltara.
How do you
Soltara.
spell it?
Soltara. It's in Costa Rica. It means to let go in Spanish. So what's so funny about that story is the guy that I DM'd is the owner of Soltara that recommended it. But anyways, so I didn't find that out till later. But anyway, so I flew there. You had to fly into San Jose. You had to spend one night in a hotel and get there the night before, because in the morning you're going to meet your crew, like the people that you're going to be doing ayahuasca with. It's a week. There's a 7-day, a 12-day, and a 5-day. I did the 7-day. So yeah, I mean, I went by myself, and with 18 people I've never met. Everybody was there for the first time. Nobody had done it except one girl had tried ayahuasca before. And I was scared. First of all, I've never even traveled alone by myself, let alone go to another country and taking that plant medicine with like 18 people I've never met, you know? So yeah, this is the most amazing place, especially for your first time. I would highly suggest going there if you can get out there, because the way they take care of you and prep you for it, you have to change your diet. You have to eat certain foods before you even take the medicine. You can't have sex, masturbate. You can't have any processed foods, anything spicy, no alcohol, no drugs. And yes, because you want to have
me
your
have to camp masturbate for it.
I know. A lot of people.
I don't know if I can go that. I don't know if I can. I can do everything else on that list, but
I knew you were going to
that
say
I
that.
don't know. I don't know that one.
A lot of people were upset about that part, but you know what? Hey, it was easy for me. So, anyways, yeah. So I went there. We did 4 nights ceremony. So 2 nights, 2 nights in a row. We had a break in between, and then we had 2 more nights. And so this one was held by Shishibo healers that come from Peru. And there's different cultures. There's, Colombian, Peruvian. This one was Peruvian, and they have their Shishibo healers there. And basically, they make up this tea that you drink that tastes like shit. It is the worst tasting tea ever. In fact, every time I drink it now, right before I'm about to drink it, I feel like I have to throw up. But anyways, you go through a purging. Not everybody purges, but it's actually good to purge, because that is all of the stuff that's within you that needs to comes out within the purging. So purging can be throwing up, shitting, crying, laughing, shaking. All of these are normal things that you would go through, and mostly what people go through is the shitting and the throwing up. And so anyways, you drink this medicine, and then you lay down, and you're in a maloca, which is it's like a cabin sort of thing, and you lay on your bed. We all have individual beds that we lay on, and you just lay there until it affects you, and it's undescribable what you go through. Everybody's experience is completely different. Not anybody's was the same. Maybe the only thing that could be the same is the visuals, because some people go through visuals at first, and other people do not get that at all. I definitely had the visuals, so I will try to explain it as well as I can. It's really, really hard because, like I said, it's sometimes I'm trying to figure it out myself. Exactly did I see and go through?
Hmm.
But I went through visuals first, which was just like a lot of colors and shapes, and I felt like I was in a fun land, basically. I was like, whoo, they were going by, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing, like all these colors and shapes and everything, and then poof, it stops.
Hmm.
And then I start to see people in my family, one by one. I saw
Okay.
Sean, I saw my kids, I saw my mom. I'm having full conversations with these people and talking to them. Like, it's almost like you're in a dream but you're conscious. So meaning I could open my eyes and I can sit up in my bed and look around and I'm like, I know where I'm at. I see everybody laying down. I could get up and use the restroom. And then I can lay
Hmm.
back down and I go right back into it.
Okay.
You're completely aware. And even when I'm in it and I see all these things, I know where I'm at. I'm like, I'm
Hmm.
here in Costa Rica and in Maloka and this is fucking crazy. That's
Hmm.
what I kept saying to myself. And then every so often I started to smile and I was like, it's almost like your higher self is talking to you. I don't know what else to explain God, source, you're having a conversation with. I want to say it's my higher self talking to me, but I remember a
Okay.
couple of times smiling, like smiling really big. And I'm asking myself, what the hell are you smiling about? Like, what is
Okay.
it?
So that
Like,
you said seeing the higher power.
yes.
If you were to have that conversation with that higher power, if you could learn the answer to one question about your future question, what would it be?
Well, that's the thing. You can't like some people have conversations like that. I didn't have like a conversation where I'm like, hey,
No, I'm saying if you could have that conversation, like if you had that
what would I
conversation,
ask?
what what would that question be? It's about your future.
Well, I wasn't asking about my future, but you have to go in with an intention. They're really big on that. You cannot just go there and lay there and take the medicine and be like, okay, let me go on a trip because that's not what it's about. Most people go there because they have something they need to work on, whether it's something
Hmm.
childhood, trauma, depression, anxiety, whatever it is. So my intention was the sadness that I was feeling. Like, why do I always feel so sad inside? My
So
heart.
that would be your question.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that was my question, and I didn't. It wasn't like I had the question answered. I just things were flashing. So the only thing I could picture were the things that were coming in front of me were things that I needed to resolve in my life.
Hmm. So in that moment for you, like when obviously may have felt like time froze for you. If time was was to freeze for you right now, like literally at this moment as we're on this podcast, and for one day, the whole day freezes, what would you do?
If the whole day freezes,
If the whole world, I'm getting your head. You gotta go back down.
sorry, I was just
Okay, yeah. If the whole world was to freeze today, like when you see the Matrix and everything stops,
yeah,
and you were that only movement of Neo that was continuing to keep moving,
yeah.
what would you do? What would be the first thing you would do if the rest of the world froze and you could still keep moving? What would you do?
By myself in the world.
By your you could do whatever you want. Like everything else around you was stopped, and you had a choice to say, okay, it's almost like take the red pill, take the blue pill. If you could do anything in that moment, the rest of the world has been frozen. It hasn't moved. It hasn't. Nothing else is going on, and you could do one thing. What would be that first thing you would do?
I would, I think what I would really do is I would want to give everybody some food and shelter when they woke up. Like when they got out of whatever they were frozen, and then they were like, wow, and almost like Christmas. So they
Okay.
wake up and they're like, wow, where did all this food come from? Where did this shelter come from? Where did all this love come from? I
Hmm.
think that is what I would do because there's just so many people without so much. I think that I would want to give to a lot of people that don't have anything. For sure, that's what I would do.
What do you do to get rid of stress?
Meditate. Yeah.
That's your go-to more than working out?
Wouldn't say it's more than working out, but I definitely, it is increasing more and more. Um, like I'll do easily an hour, no
Okay.
problem.
What is something that is extremely popular now in society that annoys you?
What annoys me is Instagram sometimes, how fake it is, and
Mhm.
how everybody's trying to make themselves look like they've got money, perfect family.
Perfect
It doesn't even
relationship.
look real anymore. It doesn't,
Mhm.
it almost looks like everything's been photoshopped and everything is like picture perfect. And that is not how life is. It is so not real. And everything is about money,
Mhm.
making money, being
Mhm.
successful.
Mhm.
It's just, I'm so tired of it. Like, I honestly want to move to an island and live very, very simply.
What
That's
is
what,
success to you?
huh?
Because you said everyone's trying to be successful, look successful. What is
Success,
success to you?
success to me is making sure that everybody in my family and friends around me know that I love them. And success to me is just living my life to the fullest. It's not
Nick.
necessarily about making money. Now, do we need to make money? Of course we need to make money because
Mhm.
without money we wouldn't be living. But I
Mhm.
don't think it's the most important thing. For me, I just want to, that's why I'm in real estate. I got into real estate because I want to eventually build homes to help homeless or people in like Costa Rica, places where they don't have food and water and shelter,
Mhm.
That's eventually where I'm going to head towards because I'm definitely changed so much in the last 2 years.
Name one thing you're obsessed with.
What I'm obsessed with, I would have to say working out. I mean, there's nothing else that I would be more obsessed with except maybe meditating is coming up there.
For someone who doesn't, and the people that are on right now, for someone was to meet you today for the first time, because remember you said, for you when you're meeting somebody, like you like the fact of hearing what other people have to say
Mm-hmm.
about that person. So for you, what three words or three words to best describe you?
Caring. Um, I push everybody around me. I don't mean push, I mean like push them up. um, and I'm giving, very giving.
Name the most beautiful place you've ever been.
Hawaii,
What's the most relaxing place you've ever been?
Costa Rica.
Give me what word or saying from the past do you think should come back?
A word that should come back?
Mm-hmm. You know how back in the day we all had different types of slangs and certain words
You
and
know what
things.
was in
What?
my time? Far
Yeah.
out.
So put that into a sentence.
um, wow, that's so far out. Like you're so far out. I don't know. That was just a word that they used when I was younger.
What was the last movie you watched?
Hmm. God, I don't have TV. Um,
You didn't watch it on your phone?
no, I
You
never.
don't watch TV, film, like nothing?
Years.
So what do you do to relax besides meditation? Because that's
Honestly,
just like
I'm working a lot of the time, and
I'm gonna start calling you Buddha.
you know what? I'm just trying to be present. I know that this all sounds corny, that people are like, oh yeah, she's sitting here saying like all these things, like save the world and all this stuff. But I'm telling you, you'll change when you start working on your inner self. My perspective on everything has changed. I try to spend a lot of time in the moment. A lot of times I don't even listen to music anymore. I just try to be in the moment that I'm in and appreciate everything that I'm doing at that moment, whether it's eating, working out, when I'm driving in my car, I don't even listen to music, like I used to. I'm actually trying to listen to other things like sounds.
But how is that when you're a trainer? Isn't that part of like the whole thing of getting in motivation of like working out to energetic music and stuff like that? Like, do
Oh,
you
when
not
I'm
listen
working
to
out, I listen to music, but I'm saying like when I'm in my car. Like I used to be
Okay.
one of those people that the moment I got in my car, rap. I was just listening to rap, like loud and like I don't even remember driving to where my destination. I just remember listening to a song. That's all I remember. I don't remember the actual ride, and I I stopped listening to music in my car and just started listening to life going on around me. I saw a bird the other day that came onto the freeway and landed in the middle of a divider. And I was like, wow, did anybody see that bird that just flew in front of all of us and landed on the center divide? Not one person. Everybody's like robot mode.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just trying to be a little bit more present. That's all,
Name if someone was to not know you, what secret talent would you have? So nobody would know.
Secret what?
Secret talent. Like something you do that no one knows that they would be surprised that you have as a talent.
I know how to braid hair. I'm really good with hair, believe it or not.
Is there a song that you say, I know you don't do this music, but is there a song that puts you in a good mood? Name of a song that puts you in a good mood?
Yeah, I'm listening to music right now. It's called Dan It, but it's very spiritual. um, yeah, that's the artist. It's called Dan It.
Is there a song right now that makes you cry? Like if you have one song right now that whenever you hear it, like I know what my song is, but if you have a song that like as soon as you hear it, you just get emotional.
Yeah,
What's that song?
it's
Who's the artist?
the artist is a Jeep, and it's called The
Jeep?
Cure. Yeah, a
Okay.
Jeep. This is all spiritual stuff. Yeah, her name's Ajit, and I love all her music. But she has a song called A Cure, and that song makes me cry.
For you, being a woman who I've seen, who knows how to dress when she's not in fitness gear, what is a fashion trend that you're really glad that went away?
Fashion?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those striped pants that we used to wear to the gym that the guys would wear. Those striped, like everything was striped. Baggy pants, striped baggy
Okay.
pants.
What is the most comfortable piece of clothing you own?
My sweats.
What is the most ridiculous thing that you've ever spent money on?
God, the most ridiculous thing. I just recently spent money on something, a program that I'm in, and I wasted my money
Why did you feel that? Why did you feel you wasted it?
because I'm not happy with the program and the way they're having us do stuff. So I wasted a bunch of money on it.
So you being a goddess, being a sex symbol, being, the queen herself, Ursula Alberto, what is the funniest pickup line you've ever had used on you?
How much do you bench press?
How much do you bench press, actually?
I don't even bench press. That's the funny thing. I don't bench press.
So how do you keep such like muscular arms all the time?
I mean, I train other body parts, but I don't bench press. Like, how many girls do you see bench press? It's like,
I know.
I mean, I'll do dumbbells and I'll do flies,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not bench pressing. I don't even think I can bench press a lot. But it's funny because I've been asked that a lot. Like, how much do you bench press? I'm like, how much do you bench press? It's always a small, skinny guy asking me.
If you could get on the phone right now and call up anyone in the world for an hour conversation, who would you call? Anybody in the world, past, living, or present.
God, oh my God, I can't think of names right now.
Living or dead.
Tony Robbins.
Why Tony Robbins?
Because he's a very great motivational speaker, and he's very positive, and he knows a lot about business. I would pick his brain.
So that would go into my next question then.
Mm-hmm.
And would it be the same answer or a different answer? If you could sit on a flight next to somebody for a 10-hour flight, who would it be? And why?
Ram Dass, spiritual guy,
Who's
but
that?
he's died.
Okay.
He died. Yeah, I would like to sit on a plane with him and pick his brain too about spirituality.
Why him? Why him out of all people in the world? Why him?
He's not the only one. He's just one of many that I look up to. Just intelligent. Wim Hof too. You know Wim Hof?
No.
The Iceman that goes in the ice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think he's one of the most incredible guys. I do ice baths, so I have a lot of respect for him. He just did one the other day for like 60 minutes. I'm like, what? 60 minutes on his birthday? Yeah, I think he's an incredible person. He's made it through a lot of trauma in his life.
Who is your favorite entertainer, either comedian, music, actor, etc.?
Well, you know, I have to say Sean.
Sean?
He's one of the funniest guys ever.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
If you had a personal mascot to be Ursula Alberto, what type of mascot would it be?
A mascot?
Yeah, like when you go to the game and you got a baseball game and you've got like those mascots that dress up in like, or an NBA game and you obviously see those mascots in different costumes in football games. What type of mascot would play you?
A leopard.
A leopard? Why a leopard?
Because they're fast.
What is the most craziest, outrageous thing you want to achieve that someone said to you was unachievable?
I don't know if it's unachievable, but that I would like to.
Like, a lot of people say that will never happen. You're just dreaming. You can't do that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
People who get into our business, even as actors or performers, are like, that's a pipe dream. You can't do that. But then we do it anyway, and then they're like, okay. So for you, like, is there something there that the craziest, most outrageous thing that you said to yourself, like, either I always wanted to do that was self-doubt, but you know that if you actually like focused on it and you did it, you could do it to the best of your ability? Like, what would that thing be?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, helping the homeless with the building of homes. Yeah. I have it on my vision board. 1-bedroom, like not apartments, but 1-bedroom houses in a community for homeless.
So is that what you hope? That's what you hope to like to achieve as your biggest accomplishment in your professional life?
For sure, yeah. I mean, to be able to help people and have a community just for them, of a place where that they can live, yeah. And not this housing that they have, their own place.
So lastly, because we got to wrap up here, lastly, in the sense for you, like, what's next for Ursula Alberto? What's the goals that are on your bucket list that that you have not crossed off that list yet?
More traveling. Yeah.
Hopefully we can all be doing more fucking traveling.
I know, right? No, and I'm talking about like going to other countries. Yeah, I just want to travel the world, honestly. This later part of my life, I want to do more traveling. I've been doing traveling a lot lately, but I do want to do a lot more. And just slow up. I mean, eventually I've already started doing mini little retreats, helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Psilocybin still isn't legal here, so, but I am helping people with that. And yeah, I feel like my calling now is to help people with their mental health and depression, anxiety. So many people going through it. It's crazy.
What's for you? Like, what do you feel for yourself? All the things you've had to endure in life, pain, go through. What do you feel was the biggest struggle, biggest thing that you had to overcome?
biggest thing I had to overcome, raising my kids alone, leaving that relationship. I mean, every relationship's hard, but I would have to say that that one was probably the hardest because every relationship's hard, but that one was hard because I had to take kids away from their father.
And it's a hard decision for anybody to make. But I mean, I think that, to me, I've always said, kids or no kids, your happiness, regardless of your situation, regardless of how many kids you have, it has to come first.
Of course, and that's why I did what I did. But I mean, you say what was the hardest thing? I think that was the hardest thing, because getting out of a relationship, you know that there will be a next. You know what I'm saying? But when you're getting out of a relationship and it's not just that it's affecting you, but now it's going to affect other people. That's hard because even though you think you're doing the right thing, you always question because you're making a decision for other people as well. And that is difficult.
No, and it definitely is. I mean, but to me, it's a testament of your strength. It's a testament of who you are. So, like, lastly, for people who, are watching this and coming to the end of this, per se, number one, what is the one thing that, if people who only obviously see you physically on, the internet, they see you in, the hot outfits and working out and training and perfect body, what's the one thing that people have a misconception about you that they don't know and that you would want to tell them for somebody that doesn't know you?
Well, first of all, nobody knows me. I'm not real. I mean, what I have on Instagram is not real. None of ours is real. We're not posting.
Define what you mean by that.
We're not posting our worst photo. We're not posting what we look like every single day. We really are. We're posting the best of the best of the best, I mean, you don't think that when I'm posting my workouts that I'm posting the best angle. I mean, if it's not a good angle, I'm not posting it. That's how everybody is. Nobody really, truly,
But
truly
isn't that more because of your business?
Huh?
Isn't that more because it's your business?
Of course. I mean, I'm in the business of making money just like everybody else. But what I'm saying is there's very, very few people that really actually know me. Very few. And those people are still in my life. Even maybe I don't talk to them all the time, but it's usually people that have been in my life for a long time who really, really know me. I don't let a lot of people close to me. But I guess what they wouldn't know about me is they wouldn't know anything about me because, as you see, I don't even talk on my Instagram. I know.
Which I've told you.
You've been trying to get me to talk on my Instagram for so long, and I don't because, to be honest, I'm shy. I really am. I'm shy, and then there's that other aspect of like my privacy. I already feel like I have my life out there, I have my kids out there, and that's one thing I do respect about Sean is he's very private. It's hard nowadays to be private, especially with a business. And I always say, okay, today I'm going to get on Instagram and I'm going to talk, and I just don't.
But you did today, and I'm grateful
that
you spent 2.5 hours with me on the show. And to me, this is why I wanted you on the show, because I've said to you before, you're an incredible woman. You're one of the most fascinating, beautiful, strong, vibrant women that I know that's in my life. And I think that what I love about you and getting to know you is, I've gotten to know the side of you, the authentic truth of who you are off camera.
Yeah, and we've had some long talks.
And this is where, for me, I'm like, I think for any woman and any person out there, why I want you to be on it is that, exactly that. It's like we all live through struggles. We all face our own demons. We all face our own things. And I always say, it didn't take coronavirus for people to start wearing masks. Because a lot of people were wearing their fucking masks their whole life.
I was wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask
most of my life, as we all are. But most people don't even know that they're wearing it. That's this thing. They don't even know that they're wearing a mask. You know, it isn't until you go into yourself and start working on yourself to be a better human being on this planet, you will not know. You're just going to follow the herd just like everybody else and doing what everybody else is doing. You know, I am no longer following the herd. I am no longer wearing my mask.
I think we, that's the thing. I've always said we live in a world full of sheep. You know, everything that's even going on right now in society. You know, whether you're for a mask, whether you're against a mask, whether you're for taking the virus vaccine or whether you're not taking the virus vaccine, whether you're for this politician, whether you're for that politician. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter, because all what matters is how you live your life for you and how you treat others. You know, and if you look after yourself and look at the people that you love, and you go about that formula, life is a lot less stressful and complicated. But it's always where we're in this situation where it's like, and as I said, social media, you know, in this era has given people the right to exercise their opinions when it wasn't asked for.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I was telling them, like, look, like, if you're for that, that's cool. You're entitled to that. But just don't bring that shit to me if I didn't ask for it. And if we're gonna have a conversation about something, like me and you are having right now, I always tell them, like, look, I'm always up for a good debate. I'm always up for a good conversation. But you better come with facts. Don't just be spewing shit that you're fucking spewing because for me,
everybody's
I'm
an expert now.
Exactly. I'm a fat guy in the sense of, and I'm a fat guy not because of the fact of where I claim to know everything. But for me, I've been around enough things, bad things, good things, but more bad things in my life, that I've taken those experiences and I've learned from them and I've grown from them. And I try to use that word, to me, where we come into a thing of like, where I'm right, you're wrong. There is no right and wrong, period. It's you have your points, you have your views, I have mine, and we're not always going to agree on everything, but it's about respecting each other's opinion to say, okay, hey, I may not, agree with that, but I understand. But what I get pissed off about, it's like, even for example, like dealing with being a black man in society, dealing with watching what happened to George Floyd and watching those 9 minutes. Understand, I have been in the exact same position when I was 15 years old with an officer on my neck, kneeling down on my neck with 3 other cops, kneeling on my leg, my back, where I could not fucking breathe. And yes, thankfully, they got off of me. But understand, in that situation, when I watched George Floyd's life get taken from him, for me, and this is where people seem to forget or really just don't pay attention, this is not about a black issue. It's not about a white issue. It's not about a Spanish issue. It's a human issue.
Yes, it's a human
And what
issue.
happened to George Floyd could happen to me.
Yep.
Could happen to you. Could happen to every person watching this fucking podcast. Because, and it's just like when someone asked me before, like, do I ever feel, or did I ever feel, racism towards me? Of course I have. Deal with it every fucking day.
Yeah.
Deal with it my whole life.
Yeah.
The only difference between me and other people is that I don't necessarily talk about it,
Right.
but I don't ignore that it's not there. And I don't ignore the experiences that I've gone through. But what I get pissed off about is, even throughout this whole trial, this whole situation, is where I have people of the opposite color of my skin tone trying to always do, as I said, what the media did, what they did throughout the trial, where whenever anything happens with a person of my color, you being of mixed race, being Latin and black, is where you get, well, if he wasn't doing this, that wouldn't happen. If they weren't on drugs, that wouldn't have happened. If they weren't doing this 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. Or if he had just complied, that wouldn't have happened. And I'm like, look, until you have been, even taking, you know, what happened to that kid who got shot by Kim Potter, where she was like, I mistook my gun for a taser. And I'm like, okay, if you've been on the force for 26 years, you're a decorated officer, you're a decorated veteran, and you make a mistake where you don't know the difference after 26 years between a gun and a taser, you probably shouldn't have had both to begin with.
Right.
Period. Second, a kid at 20 years old, yes, he had a warrant. But did he have a warrant? They said, well, people say, oh, he had a warrant. He was wanted for, you know, robbing somebody. I don't give a fuck. Because understand, the reason why they pulled him over, the reason why, number one, they had stopped him in the first place.
Because his color.
Well, not just because of his color. They stopped him first because he had air freshener. Then it was like he had expired tags. Then they ran those tags and found he had a warrant. And the reason why he had a warrant, because of COVID, everything's mailed.
Right. It takes forever now, everything.
So the mail that was going to his house for his court appearance went to the wrong address. He never got it. Somebody else got it. So understand, when someone says, well, if he had just complied, I'll tell you a true story of myself. When I was 14 years old, that same Pacific type of situation where I got jacked up by cops. Then I had to go to court. Then I was sick and I couldn't go to court that day. And I was a young offender, so I had to get an adult to go there for me and speak for me. So I sent this adult, because I'm in the hospital, and I'm like, I can't go to the courthouse. And it was just an appearance, because when you go there on your first appearance, it's just to basically set a date. That's all you're doing. Go in there and talking, hey, what do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? You don't really have to be there. If your lawyer goes for you, he go, but I needed someone to go. So I sent someone there. But then what happened was he went there, and the information that was sent to me in the paperwork saying your appearance is on this date, it was the wrong date. It got mixed up in the courts. So 2 days go by, I don't hear from my guy. But I'm not thinking anything of it because it was just there to go to an appearance. I'm like, so I get a hold of him, okay, did you go? And he was like, oh, I went there, and they said it was the wrong date. So he didn't know, he didn't really discuss it with me. He was just like, well, they told me it was the wrong date. And that was it, and I walked out. All of a sudden, 2 days after that, I get a call from the police. And they're like, we have a warrant out for your arrest. What the fuck are you talking about? They're like, we have a warrant out for your arrest because you failed to appear. I was like 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I said, well, I know that my date was on this date. They said, no, you missed a date. And I'm like, well, this is not what the paperwork says. So then they're like, okay, don't worry about it. And again, these cops will play, they're all cool and nice. And again, I'm a kid, 15. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Can you get your parents to, to bring you? And I was like, I'm on my own. I live on my own.
Oh.
I was homeless. So I'm like, I don't have them around.
Yeah.
So they said, well, can you get somebody, adult to bring you? I said, I don't have a ride. I don't drive. I'm 15. So he was like, okay, well, no worries. What date would you want to, let us come pick you up. So I'm like, this cop's just being a little bit overly nice, but I'm like, hey, I never dealt with police. This is my first time as a young offender being in a situation where I'm like a stupid kid. We all made dumb choices when we're stupid kids.
Yeah.
Mine was making a stupid choice. So the cop's like, okay, well, I'll come pick you up on Wednesday. So he comes down to my place on Wednesday, picks me up, and goes, you're just going to be in and out. It's all going to be good. We're going to go down to the courthouse. We're going to file the paper, and then you'll be out of here. So we make this drive down to the courthouse. As soon as we get to the courthouse, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to put you in cuffs. This procedure. Okay, so we put me in cuffs. Brings me into a holding cell. Brings me into a room. Sits me down. Next thing you know, hours go by. Like hours upon hours upon hours. I'm sitting in this room. Next thing you know, they bring me into the courthouse, in front of the judge. And remember, I'm 15 years old. I have no idea anything about court. I'm there by myself. I told my parents, I'm just going to be back in an hour.
Oh, shit.
It's now been 7 hours that have gone by. I haven't spoken to them. They haven't spoken to me. They don't know where I'm at. Next thing you know, I got like those duty counsels, you know, the court-appointed attorneys. But not your lawyer, because I couldn't afford an attorney.
Right. You're 15.
So I get the duty counsel, and he starts reading off numbers. You know, case number, blah, 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 case number, blah, 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 blah. And what I'm there for was for a broken window. So what happened was I had some property that was stolen from me when I was 15. And I went with my friends to get it at this guy's house. He calls, oh, I have your property. So we show up to the guy's house, but he basically scammed us. He sent us to a wrong house. So we're arguing with this guy at the door, and we're like, yo, I know my property's in here. You called me. You said that my property's in the house. Like, I have your property. And on his door, when we walked up, it was one of those old school houses where you got to open a door to then walk in and then walk into the house. It's got a little canopy part. So on the window, there was a crack. And he slammed the door. And as soon as he slammed the door, the whole glass shattered. Like, it just smashed. And I was like, oh, well, not my fucking problem. And me and my boy, we turned around. As soon as we turned around, SWAT, guns, everything, like, in our faces. Wow. So imagine being 15 years old, never been in trouble, never seen a gun except on TV, now pointing with rifles in your face, ready to kill you. Put yourself in that situation at 15 years old. Are you not going to be scared?
Of course.
Are you not going to be fearful for your life?
Yeah.
Are you not going to be nervous and panicky? Next thing you know, I'm getting draped down to the ground, knee on my neck, all these things that led me to being in this courthouse today. Remember, I'm there so they charged me with mischief over 500. First, it was like a bunch of charges because my friend who was driving, his dad worked in a construction site. So in his back seat, I didn't know this because we were driving. The cops open up his car trunk. And he's got an axe, a crowbar, like all these construction tools. So the cop's like, what are all these for? I'm like, I don't fucking know. It's not my car. He's like, were you trying to break into this house? And then the guy comes out and he's like, oh, and this is before the term Karen was around. This was like a male Karen. He was like, yeah, these black guys tried to break into my house and they smashed my window and they were trying to kill me. And we're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, you broke your own goddamn window. You smashed your window by slamming the door in our face. And these tools that were in the back seat, we never even brought them out because we didn't know I didn't know they were in the back seat. And again, it was my friend's dad driving his dad's car with all his work tools in it. So next, you know, that when the cops took us down to the station that day, they originally had charged us with like weapons dangerous, attempted assault, like all these things that didn't happen. And then they tried to pit us against each other, me and my friend. They put me in one room, him in another room.
Oh, wow.
So they're basically saying to him in one room, you know, flip on your friend. He did this.
Yeah.
We had been to the routine. We knew what was up. We knew that they were going to try to do what they always do. Paint us as the angry black man, the criminal. Because understand, in society, we are looked at as three things: athletes, entertainers, or criminals. Like when you look at our culture, that's what we are to the average society. So here I am, 15 years old in this courthouse for this one broken glass charge. And all of a sudden, this duty counsel, he's reading off numbers. And I'm like, that's a lot of motherfucking numbers for like one charge. But I didn't know what these numbers meant.
Of course, yeah.
Next thing you know, they're like, so Mr. Lamb has been, who? My last name's not Lamb.
Oh, they got you mixed up with somebody else.
I'm like, what is going on here? So the duty counsel, he's flipping through. He said, and it's like, you know, this is why I always tell people, when you're a black man and you've ever been in those situations and you have to go to court, know when to run when you walk into a room with a guy with a messy suit. He's got a messy suit, sloppy looking, you know, all that stuff, you're probably not going to be not handled properly. And this is what happened. This guy was a mess.
Right.
So next thing you know, I'm on a bus, handcuffed to like 15 real criminals, getting sent to a detention center. And all of these things are happening that I have no control over. But the minute I went into that situation, and eventually it got thrown out and we got everything fixed, and I ended up suing them. But understand, in that moment of 15 years old, I made a decision. I made a bad one, and I paid for it, and I dealt with the consequences for it.
Yeah.
And I learned from that situation, and I grew.
Right.
Should I be held for something that I did when I was 15 years old?
Of course
now?
not.
But this is, again, this is society. What happened with George Floyd, what happened with many other individuals who have gone through these situations myself, what makes me angry is the first thing that people want to do is judge someone.
Yeah.
By what they've done in their past. Judge someone based on the fact of where, it's just like you made a decision when you got cheated on to cheat back because you were hurt. That was your way of lashing out. Does that make you a non-trustworthy person for the rest of your life?
No.
Or a cheater for the rest? No,
Of course not, because we all change, you know. I mean, we're not the same people we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So,
except to our society, though, because you being ethnic, me being ethnic, to the rest of the world, 90% of the time, it's like we don't change to them. Like, because you got to remember, like, we're not put in positions of, like, even for example, you being in real estate, you being personal trainer, you doing all these things, opportunities with your skill set, especially in the fitness world, should be just being thrown at you because you're so good at what you do. Like, there's no question about it. I mean, to look as good as you do after 3 kids, I'm like, yo, I'll marry your fucking shit. Like put me in that room. Because again, it's like, but you are a person who put the time and put the work to change and better your life. But are you presented with the same opportunities of someone that doesn't look like you or judge you because of the fact that you've got 3 kids? These are all things that we live in society, and unfortunately that it's so frustrating that we can't just look at human beings and people, just people.
I know, but it's not. I mean, it's not going to change in our lifetime. Sorry,
True.
It's not. You know, I mean, we can only do the best we can for ourselves. Like I said a million times, we can only change ourselves, and through changing ourselves, we change people around us, and that's the beginning of changing our planet. You know, I mean, we've all made mistakes. We've all done other people wrong. But it's just being aware of the things that you have done or that, you know, that you can change. I'm not the person I was a year ago. I'm not even the person I was a few months ago, you know. So.
And now we'll leave it at that note. Ursula, it has been an absolute privilege, an honor. I absolutely adore and love you. I think you are an amazing source of energy. I think that, you know, for you, the best is yet to come. I think that you have a lot of gifts to give to the world. I definitely feel at times you sell yourself short, that you don't give yourself enough credit for the woman that you are, and that you have not lived to your fullest potential. But as you say, every day is growth. Every day you're not the same person as you were yesterday, and nothing will make me happier to see you win at life and win at everything, because I know your heart. I know your character. I know you are who you are as a person. I know of the type of mother you are. And any person who has, as you said, that doesn't know you, but does get the privilege to get to know this woman and, you know, don't just look on the outside layer, really see her, really pay attention, really get to know you. You will find someone that will make your life better, that will make you a better person. And with that, I just want to say that it's been an honor to have you on as a guest this week. It's been a long time coming for this.
I know.
I think and I think that, you know, hopefully people will be inspired by your story and realize that, you know what, every setback is just a temporary setback to a major comeback.
Of course.
So
We all have the ability to change anything in our life.
What would you lastly want to leave as a final thought to your fans and viewers out there watching?
I mean, like I say, and what I've been saying a lot lately on my Instagram is just you have to work on your inner self. We all have to, because our inner wounds is why society is the way it is. You know, it comes from within ourselves, and you just have to keep working on your inner self. Just be a better human being.
So before you go, I want to leave you to do a plug for us. So basically, I want you to give your title of your name, what you do, and then at the end of it, you're going to say, "Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, either fitness trainer, real estate, like whatever your title is. You can find me right here on HotTopicsCelebTV.com." Then
no.
you do a second one.
You could ask me to talk.
Yes. Then you're going to do a second one, and it's going to be, "Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, fitness model. You can find me right here on DTeflon.com." So DTEFLON, just like my name, but .com. So the first one you'll do is Hot Topics Celeb TV. "Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, real estate agent, fitness model, fitness trainer," whatever you want to do it off the cut.
Hot Topics what?
CelebTV.com. Okay. So Hot Topics CelebTV.com. So when I'll count you down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, fitness competitor / real estate investor on Celebs. What?
Hot Topics. We'll take 2. Hot Topics.
I was gonna forget. 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah. You want to write it down?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, if you missed this podcast tonight, make sure you join
Please
us
don't
on
put me on the
Saturday.
spot.
On Saturday, 8 p.m.
Celeb
you
what?
You can find us on Hot Topics Celeb
Hot
TV.
Top.
Yeah, so hot, same as what this channel is. Hot Topics. So HOTTOPISCS, I should say, CelebTV.com. So Hot Topics CelebTV.com, and then DTEFLON.com. So DTeflon.com.
Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay, so naturally, take your breath. Take a deep breath. I'm gonna count you down.
We're gonna have to say it like 10 times.
Okay, so I'm gonna count you down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, fitness trainer and real estate investor on HotTopicsCelebTV.com.
And the second one I'm going to say is that this is Ursula Alberto. Same thing. You can find me right here on DTeflon.com.
Okay.
Do the same thing. So do the same thing for Hot Topics Celeb TV, and then the same thing for DTeflon.com. You can find me right here on HotTopicsCelebTV.com, and then you can find me right here on DTeflon.com. So the same thing. You do it once, then we'll do it twice. Okay.
Okay.
You ready? You ready?
Ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, fitness trainer / real estate investor. You can find me here on HotTopicsCelebTV.com.
Correct. Now the second one, the exact same thing. Same thing. You're going to say, you're going to change from HotTopicsCelebTV.com to DTeflon.com.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Hi, this is Ursula Alberto, fitness trainer / real estate investor. You can find me here on DTeflon.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys who all tuned in tonight. Ursula, has been a privilege and an honor. I look forward to having you back sometime again for another conversation.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed yourself this evening and letting the world get to know you. And hopefully you guys will tune in, of course. You can find us on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow this If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit the follow button here. You can follow me at DTeflon. Ursula, where can people who want to find you or want to train with you, where can they find you?
Well, Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm never really on there that much.
What's your social?
Ursula Alberto. Everything's Ursula Alberto.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
Yes, but I'm not on Twitter.
Okay. All right, guys. So I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is another edition, and we welcome you guys and hope you guys enjoyed the show. Ursula,
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you.
Love
We'll
you
talk
too.
soon.
Okay.
Okay.